Not good class music.
No, it's not. It's too.
history. Don't know much biology. Don't know much about a science book. Don't know much about the French I took. But I do know that I love you. And I know that if you love me too, what a wonderful world this would be. Don't know much about geography. Don't know much trigonometry. Don't know much about algebra. Don't know what a sliding rule is for. But I do know 1 and 1 is 2. And if this one could be with you, what a wonderful world this would be. Now, I don't claim to be an A student, but I'm trying to be. For maybe by being an A student, baby, I can win your love for me. Don't know much about history. Don't know much biology. Don't know much about a science book. Don't know much about the French I took. But I do know that I love you. And I know that if you love me too, what a wonderful
Yeah, last week. Yeah, last week. Yeah.
la ta 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 ta.
Very good, very good. Same thing. It starts to laugh, they said it.
Well, la ta 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 ta.
Right?
Yeah, it's the other day.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but I do know that I love you.
I'm home there with it.
And I know that if you love
Oh, that's good.
Come back before you. I'm gonna leave early, but third this time.
Oh, wow, okay.
So we only let it go too long, so
Oh my gosh,
that's fine.
good one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good. I was friends came over for the
what you say.
Your time.
He's on it.
Yeah, yeah, that's fun.
Oh woman, don't treat me so mean. You're the meanest old woman that I've ever seen. I guess if you say so,
I would say, I
I'll
think
have to
that.
pack my things and go.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, we could, that's a good spot for it, right?
What you say?
Oh, no, you should.
Now, baby, listen, baby, don't you treat me this away. Cause I'll be back on my feet someday.
Okay, we should have fun with it. No, you should be.
Well, I guess if you say so, I'll have to pack my things and go.
That's right, hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more.
Hey guys, I'll be in just a moment.
Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more.
What you say?
Hit the road, Jack.
I'm gonna start giving you guys some cereals here.
No more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more.
Well,
Don't you come back no more.
what you said?
Don't you come back no more.
I didn't understand
Don't
you.
you come back no more.
You can't even that.
Don't you come back no more.
Oh, now, baby, please.
Interactive.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, we'll think about it. What am I?
Ain't no mountain high, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough, baby.
If you need me, call me. No matter where you are, no matter how far.
Don't worry, baby.
Just call my name. I'll be there in a hurry. You don't have to worry. 'Cause baby, there ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting Remember the day I set you free. I told you you could always count on me, darling. From that day on, I made
freedom now. I'll be there when you want me some way, somehow. Oh, baby, there ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, baby. Oh, no, darling.
No way, no way. Can't stop the rain.
Oh, baby.
'Cause you are my
I'll be there on the double. Just send me away, baby.
I know it's pretty hard,
If you ever need a helping hand, I'll be there on the double as fast as I can. But you know that there ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough.
keep me from getting to you, babe. Don't you know that there
Ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough, ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough.
That way. I know, that's not my jam more, so here, that.
I have a personal stylist, and you can too. My Stitch Fix online stylist really gets me. I share my style, size, and budget, and they do the shopping. How I want, when I want. Updating my wardrobe with Stitch Fix is so easy. My stylist sends me the most amazing pieces, unique brands and styles I would have never tried on my own. I keep what I love and send back the rest. No subscription required, no commitment, just my style. Stitch Fix.
At LensCrafters, we value expertly tailored eye care, provide state-of-the-art eye exams, offer a wide assortment of designer brands and high-quality lenses. Because everything we do at LensCrafters is for every sight that makes your life special. We offer 50% off lenses with frame purchase, shop in-store and online. Book your annual eye exam now on LensCrafters.com. LensCrafters, because sight. Eye exams are available at the independent doctor of optometry at or next to LensCrafters. Doctors in some states are employed by LensCrafters. Offer valid to August 27, 2023. See associate for details.
You've been dreaming about the dress. Come find the one at David's Bridal. The most glamorous designer wedding gowns are now 15% off. Bridesmaid dresses that fit beautifully start around $99. Whether you need a veil, jewelry, shoes, or even lingerie and shapewear, it's all at David's Bridal. Take 20% off outfit making accessories for a limited time. Stop by your local David's Bridal store or shop davidsbridal.com today. Terms and conditions apply.
They don't know.
Sometimes I'm right and I can be wrong. My own beliefs are in my song. The butcher, the banker, the drummer, and then makes no difference what group I'm in. I am everyday people. Yeah, yeah.
This year.
Don't you ever be sad. Lean on me in times of bad. When the day comes and you're down, and I'm in trouble, and I'm about to drown, just hold on. I'm coming. Hold on. I'm coming. I'm on my way.
Did everybody stand up?
No.
Oh, no.
Hey, son, you doing all right? Amazing, I'm going to the hairdresser over for you. This is Aubrey.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, I think it's kind of, sneeze up everything.
We got a handout, so we gotta walk through.
Yep, they're all right here. Has everybody gotten a handout? If you haven't, raise your hand, please.
Here, leave a couple. All right. Molly, go, Marky, have you one? Everybody else have one? Don't need one?
Yep.
All right, perfect.
All right, guys, it's 1 o'clock. Let's get started. We have Aubrey Bailey in the house with us, General Manager of GLG. So guys, not only has Aubrey got his own team here, not only is he the General Manager of GLG, but you've had how many investment properties have you had now? 40?
I flipped 43, yeah, and kept a lot as rentals. Wish I would have kept more, so.
Oh, well, I'd say he knows his stuff, right? So he's here to talk about investing and growing your real estate wealth.
Yes.
Thank you, Aubrey.
Absolutely. Hey, guys, good afternoon. Keller Williams Roswell, excited to be here. I see so many familiar faces and some new faces. So if I don't know you, please afterwards feel free to pop up, ask me some questions. I'd love to shake your hand and meet you. So, all right, so today we're gonna cover a lot of stuff and we're gonna jump in. This is 2 parts, okay? So today, and then we have the other one on Friday. Who remembers what time it is on Friday? I don't.
1 to 3.
Okay, 1 to 3. Before we jump into our content today, I want to give a thank you and a warm welcome to Rio and Michael and Gray, who provided our snacks. Because if you're hungry, we have snacks to eat. Come on, Rio, for a second. Give her a warm welcome.
Hello. Thank you. I love you too. Hi, everyone. My name is Rhea Dawkins. For the people that are not from the Keller Williams Realty Consultants Office, I am their agent service representative. I'm a liaison here in the office. I'm building relationships with the realtors. You'll catch me in classes, sitting next to you sometimes
but also I'm here to make sure that any closings that you do with us goes smoothly. We also help with legal descriptions. So if there's any other realtors that are here with the GLG group, there is a me in each one of those offices. I've brought some different office lists that I can pass out to you guys. We have about 16 locations just in the Atlanta area. We have about 11 in the surrounding states. So we would love to earn your business. If you want, you can always stop by my office. It's just 2 doors down. And also I'll be kind of in and out of this class if you have any questions for me. So thank you guys so much for your time and enjoy the snacks.
Thank you, Rita. Appreciate it. Okay. All right, and even if it's not one of their transactions, I know they're happy to answer questions. And Rita, I think you guys have like a helpline. Like, can't you call a number or send an email or something and they'll answer it?
Yes, you guys can email us at kwrc@nmg.law. I'm actually on that email. So if you have any legal questions, you can email us there and we can assist you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. All right.
kwrc@nmg.law.
Your contact information is on your training calendar as well, if you ever anything.
Perfect. All right, let's jump in. We got a lot to pack into 2 hours. Disclaimer, I am not your financial advisor and nothing in these slides is meant to be an investment advice. Please talk to your financial planner. Okay, good? You're good? You're good. Okay, I'm gonna be a pretty open book with you guys. I'm gonna share things that I've done, mistakes I've made, wins I've made, and I'm trusting that you guys are gonna take great notes. And everybody has a copy of this. If you just came in and you didn't, please let me know. Does anybody not have this? Okay, we'll give it to you. There you go. And you bet. Who else? Anybody else need one? Good. Okay, I'm gonna put a couple here. If you see anybody pop there, will you just wave them down? Say, hey, you need this. Thank you. Okay. So let's go through a thought process here. And what I'm doing is raise your hand if you've been to Brett Tanner's KW Well. Okay, a few have been there, right? Great course, great material. And what we're gonna do today is take some of what he did. We're gonna go a lot deeper. We're gonna go through all different sources of finding business, funding the business. We're gonna talk about short sales, foreclosures, bank-owned properties. We're gonna go into the whole, how to fund them, where to find the money, how to analyze the deals. You're gonna leave with a really clear understanding. There is no way we could do that today, right? That's why it's 2 parts. Okay, so I'm gonna go through things and we're gonna pause. We're gonna ask questions. I want to make sure you understand. And if there's anything where you're really having a lot of trouble and it's taking a lot of time, come up and see me afterwards and we'll dig through it together. Fair enough? All right. Okay. All right. So what we're going to cover today, we're first going to start off with where we're going. How are we going to arrive at a destination if we have no idea where we're going? When you hop in the car and use a GPS, what are the 2 locations it needs to know?
Start typing in and.
Yeah, where we are now, where we want to go. Otherwise, we're going to drive around aimlessly and never get to where we want to go. So we have to know where we're going. So we're going to talk about defining your life by design. It's one of the most important things we're going to do. So we're going to do that. The second one is we're going to outline a financial freedom plan. What does that look like for you? Everybody's plan is going to be different. They're not all going to be the same. We're going to go over different ways to find and fund the property. Sometimes this is what's getting in the way. You might find a property and be like, I don't like come up with the financing. I'm gonna give you easy solutions for that, okay? And it's not, hey, hard money loan, go pay 15%, and all these thousands of dollars. There's easy solutions for that. Ones I've personally done numerous times. Commit to taking action. Commit to taking action. You're not setting aside 2 hours today and 2 hours on Friday just to be entertained. You're gonna do something with it, right? Yes. Yes. Okay. All right. So here's what I ask of you. Pick one thing. There's gonna be a lot that you hear. I say this almost every time that I have the opportunity to teach, and it's pick one thing. You're gonna hear a lot of stuff. It can be easy to get overwhelmed. Don't feel overwhelmed. Just pick one. Write down all your ideas. Circle the one that you're gonna do first. Okay. All right. So question: when was the last realtor retirement party you went to? like I've been here for almost 18 years and I have not been to a realtor retirement party yet, right? Why? Right? Well, the reality is we could sell until whenever, right? We could be 85 years old. However, I want you to get to a point where you sell because you want to, not because you have to. Where you have enough passive income to fund your life by design, whatever that is, and you wake up each day helping people, not because you have a bill to pay, because you really want to help them, right? You see what I mean? Okay, freedom. It's freedom. Okay, if tomorrow you woke up and the income from selling real estate was gone, what would happen to your current lifestyle? Would it change? You don't have to talk out loud. This part I know, most people, yes. Like if that money went away my lifestyle absolutely would change. 90% of the realtors, that's absolutely the answer, okay? So what's the most valuable asset we have? Not a trick question.
Ourselves.
Times.
Time, yeah, those wishes, you know, with our, yeah. So that makes sense. Time. No amount of the great Tony Stark said, no amount of money ever bought a second of time, you know? So, which is true. So think about this for a second. We're gonna be creating your life by design, not by default, okay? We have the choice to live a life by design or by default. Okay, what years will we enjoy the most? Like, okay, the back of my phone, oh, that's my mom. Hi, Mom. Everybody say hi. Hey. Okay, this case, right, says My Adventure Book. Who knows where this came from? You might know. My Adventure Book, yes. Yes, the movie Up, right? And the story with Up is this cute little kid that meet when they're young, you know, they play together and then ultimately down the road they get married, right? And they have this jar that they put money in. The money's there someday, they're gonna go travel the world, right? And what do you think ultimately happens?
One of them dies.
Yes, the wife gets sick and doesn't make it, right? It's definitely one of those stories that takes you on an emotional roller coaster. And the reality is tomorrow's not guaranteed for any of us. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Like, why don't we go ahead and have fun on this journey now, right? Being smart with how we're investing and enjoying life now. So what years will you enjoy the most? Is it now when you're at the age you are now, or is it when you're in your 80s? You know, you might have a hard time skiing if you like to ski when you're in your 80s. I'm not saying you can't, but it might be a little more difficult. How many more beach swims do you have with your family? You know, how many more, if this will click, how many more Christmases with your loved ones, or, you know, most roasting marshmallows or Taco Tuesdays? We don't know. None of us know how many of those we have left. How many more days with your parents? You know, start off young and maybe with your grandparents. Average adult, this is something Brett shared, average adult spends 10 days per year with their parents. 10, you know, how many do we have left? Are we making the most of them? How many more summers with your kids? I mean, look at it, typically the average parent has 18 summers with their kids and they're gone. But I heard something the other day, something like 48% of all people 18 to 25 still live at home. So, or I guess they come back, you know, so how many summers do we have left? So why are we waiting? Why are we waiting to live a life full of creating memories with our loved ones? Nobody gets to the end of their day saying, I wish I had more money. They get to the end of their day saying, I wish I had more time with the people that I love and care about, right? So why are we waiting? Typically, it is a lack of, I'm gonna be standing over here, it works better, cash flow. Like, we have bills we have to pay. We don't have the extra money to do those things that we want to do, okay? So it's a lack of cash flow. So question, what's the difference between being rich and wealthy? Take your best stab at it. There's not necessarily a wrong answer. I'll give you Gary's, you know, he's pretty smart, I'll share his.
Yeah, wealth is generational, riches, you know, what you make now.
Great answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, great answer. Great answer. Anybody want to say it a different way? Or is that pretty accurate? I'm good. So this is what rich means: you earn a lot of money and have a lot of things. Think ball players, fancy car, you know, big house, living a big lifestyle, right? Where wealthy means you have the passive income to fund your life without having to work. What happens to the majority of the ball players after they're making those millions of dollars and the income stops?
They go broke.
They go broke. What happens to most lottery winners a few years later after they win? They go broke. They didn't learn the habits to become wealthy, right? To fund your life without having to work, you know? Both are great. I want you to be rich and wealthy. I want you to have both, okay? So cash flow is king. Cash flow is king. When we have enough cash flow, it gives us the ability to do what we want. Does that make sense? So rich, you earn a lot of money, have a lot of things. Wealthy, you have the passive income to fund your life without having to work. It's your freedom. Does that make sense? You guys with me? Okay. All right, so cash flow is king. So wealth allows you to think differently about your life. So let's jump into this. What's your 2023 wealth plan? Hey, Luke. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, we passed one of those back to Luke. Thank you. Okay. If anybody else needs one, please let us know. Get one. So what's your 2023 wealth plan? Most people don't have one. Deep breath, it's okay. You know, if you don't have one, that's why you're here today, is to develop that wealth plan, right? So let's talk about it. Imagine for a moment that you're at a point where you're in your life where you work because you want to, not because you have to. A place where your monthly passive income surpasses what you need to live your life, live the life you desire and allows you to chase your passion, whatever that is. That you're now on track to leave a legacy for the people you care about and positively impact future generations. How would that feel? Imagine this is you. We often underestimate what we can do in 1 year and say that backwards. We often overestimate what we can do in 1 year and greatly underestimate what we can do in 5. So imagine this is your life 5 years from today. How would you feel? Give me some words to describe how you feel.
Lighthearted.
Lighthearted, absolutely. What else?
Fulfilled.
Fulfilled, definitely. Yeah.
Inspired.
Inspired. Relieved. Accomplished. All great words. Like a weight's been lifted off your shoulders, you know, and you have that freedom that you really want. And you remember what Gary said, money's good for the good it can do. If you don't need it, there are plenty of people who need it. And why would you limit what you're capable of? So go be the best version of you, earn the money that you can. And if you don't need it, give it away. Give it to people who do. So have you ever met someone who has money but isn't happy? I have, right? All the time, right? Money doesn't bring happiness, right? Having wonderful memories and spending time with people you care about is what brings happiness. You know, finding that joy on this journey. So many people look at when I get that car or I get that house, I'm going to be happy. They won't be. There's always going to be something else when you get there. It's really enjoying that journey and finding happiness every single step of the way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So money often helps you have the ability to do that. One other thing that brings you happiness is every year you want to take your entire family, get them together to go to create memories at the beach. It's about the memories, right? The moments that you're spending. I met with somebody earlier today and he said to me, I was like, 5 years from now, you're living a great life. What did that look like? And we picked the different categories of life. One of them was family. And the first thing he said, I have 9 grandkids from the ages of 1.5 to 13. And he said, every single one of them, when they turn 15, I want them to be able to pick the place in the world they want to go, and I want to be able to take them there. Like, that's awesome. You have one that's 13, one that's 11. And what's required to do that? We do have to have some money to do that, right? So it won't bring, the happiness is made in those moments, right? We need the money oftentimes to fund that, but the money is just a piece of paper with a dead president on it. Like it doesn't bring happiness. It's what it does that can help us, okay? So what did Zig Ziglar say about money? He said, anybody that says that money isn't important hasn't lived without it long enough. You guys know what one of the top reasons people get divorced over is, right? Money, right? Money, lack of money. Okay, everybody's had their piece of paper? Anybody not have one? This is a workshop. We're doing something. We're not just gonna be entertained today. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna be filling out some paperwork too. Got it? Coming up with your plan. Okay, everybody's got theirs. So why are you here today? Why are you here today? Somebody say it out loud. It's interactive.
More investment practices.
Yeah, find out ways to get more investment. Marquis is already doing it, looking to do more. Absolutely. Who else? Why are you here today? You set aside 2 hours today, 2 hours on Friday. What brought you in?
To see how to fund those investments.
Yeah, funding them. Talk about that. Yeah, absolutely. What else?
How to get more cash flow.
Yeah, creating more cash flow. We're not just going to talk about real estate. We'll talk about other vehicles as well. Vehicles for passive income. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else want to share? Good. Why is financial freedom important to you? Give me a sentence. Why is it important to you? Write this down. I want you writing it down. See pencils going. Why is financial freedom important to you? Well, this is your piece of paper. Nobody else in the thesis except for you. And I'd love for some of you to share. So why is financial freedom important to you?
It gives me financial freedom to do what I want.
It does. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Who else?
I wrote earlier for retirement, spend more time with friends and family, people I love and care about.
Yeah.
And leave something behind for my children, leave a legacy, as you noticed earlier.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, yes, go ahead.
My reason is so I can travel.
So you can travel.
I can travel for many years.
Yes, this is such a beautiful world. We probably haven't seen enough of it. Let's go.
Correct.
You know, yes.
Visit with the nature.
That's right, Carrie.
So being able to, of course, enjoy my life, travel, leave a legacy, just bless the lives of others to be able to make it greater than me.
Yes, love that. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good. Everybody have theirs written down? Yes, this is important. We're gonna go through this together. Okay, what does a life by design look like to you? And I gave you a couple questions. Can you pass back one of those pieces of paper for her, please?
I got it.
You got, okay, thank you. What does a life by design look like for you? It's a life where I can fill in the blank. A life where I have fill in the blank. Fill that out. Again, we have to know what we're aiming for first in order to be able to hit it. What does a life by design look like to you? A life where I can blank. Hey, I don't know if I put this example in this one, but it's like where I check my watch for curiosity only. You know, wouldn't that be neat? That's complete freedom. You know, or a life where I can pack up with my family and take them on a trip to see the Grand Canyon at any moment and not worry about not having the income or missing a listing or whatever else, not being able to pay my bills, you know. A life where I have, you know, 10 rental properties paid for free and clear and enough passive income to fund the rest of my life. Write that stuff down for you. You don't have to share this with anybody. These are yours. Write this down. You're finished. I'm seeing the Onward pens. That's awesome. That's a good logo. You know where Onward came from? You know where that term came from? Who knows?
Gary,
Gary.
sign off.
Every email he sends, he signs #Onward. That's where that name came from. Okay. All right. Here's where we're getting more specific. What's your freedom number and yearly passive income to live your life by design? Okay. Now you have a choice here. It may be, I'm living a wonderful life right now, I just want to replace my current income, or it may be, hey, the lifestyle I want is actually a little more expensive than what I have now. You need to put that number in here. Now, before you fill that number out, let me help you a little bit. I'll meet with an agent and I'll say, what's your burn rate per month? And they'll say, you know, $6,000 per month. I'm like, okay, that's $72,000 per year. You made 150 last year, so you have $78,000 sitting in a checking account right now, right? They're like, no, I don't have any. I'm like, well, then your burn rate's not $6,000 a month. Your burn rate's more like $12,000 a month. You see what I mean? So if you're trying to figure out your burn rate right now, here's the easiest way I found to do this. Think about your household income last year, because you might have two incomes in the household, right? Okay. What was your house? You don't have to write this part down, just think through it. Household income last year minus how much extra money that you have left over equals your burn rate. And if you say, well, last year we made 300,000 and we went in debt 20 grand, then your passive income or your income needed, your burn rate's 320,000 a year, right? Or if you made 300,000 as a household last year and you have 100 grand sitting extra over afterwards, your burn rate's $200,000 a year. Do you see what I mean? That's the easiest way to do this. You know, you can sit there and break out, you know, bank statements and everything else and go through line by line. A lot of people are like, well, my mortgage is this, my car payment's this, and my food is about this, but they're way off. The easiest way to say, what did I make last year, minus any investments that I made, you know, what was it? Yes.
So that could just be like a minimal survival.
Yes. That's why, that's a good question. Was that cough or a sneeze? Bless you. That's why it says, what's your freedom number and yearly passive income to live your life by design? That number may not be big enough. We just need a number for now to work with. You're going to understand how to calculate this later. So we can come back and change it later. We just need to pick, this is one of the, if we don't do this, we can't move on. So everybody has to write down at least a number on their piece of paper in order for us to move forward. Okay. So pick one. It's okay. We can change it later. Just pick a number for now. Okay. All right. All right. Now think about this. Now that you have your number written down, how much additional passive income do you need to get there? So I'll give you an example. If you're like, well, I need $200,000 in yearly passive income, and right now I have $15,000 a year in passive income, then your gap's $185,000. Make sense? Or if you need 200, you have zero right now in passive income, then you need all 200,000. Make sense? And that's okay. Okay. So that's where you write down this next one is what's the gap from where you are in yearly passive income to where you need to be. It may be the same number as that first freedom number. Okay. All right. Everybody write that down. Who's got that? Okay. Wait till pins are done. So important we get this. We have to get this right. Otherwise, everything else we do for the rest of the day and Friday won't make sense. We have to do this. Okay. All right. When do you need to hit that number by? So it might be, I want to be able to be completely debt-free. I want to be able to live my life by design. I want to have enough passive income to sustain my family in the next 10 years or 15 years or 5 years. Everybody's going to have a different timeline. What is that for you? When would you like to achieve that freedom number by? And this needs to be one that you're committed to doing what it takes. You know, Gary's told us the goal informs the action plan, and then we just have to decide, are we willing to do what it takes? So write something down now, could be 5, 10, 15 years, whatever it is for you. When do we need to create that by? If someone's further along in their life journey, it may be a shorter period of time. If someone's earlier along in their life journey, they may have more time. But even if someone is early along in their life journey, they may say, yeah, that's great that I'm young, but I want to be able to live my life by design with enough passive income in the next 6 years. Whatever that number is for you, write that down. We have to write that down. Okay. 5, 10, 15 years would be some good numbers to pick. Okay. And I think a lot of the examples I'm going to give is based on 10 years, because that's a number that a lot of people can relate with, you know? So, okay. So how much passive income do you need to create per year in order to get there? So what do you have to do? What's your gap from where you are currently in passive income to where you need to be? So if it's $200,000 that you need per year in passive income, you have 10 years to get there. How much do you need to create per year to be on track? What's 200,000 divided by 10? 20,000. So every year we need to create 20,000 in passive income over the next 10 years. Now, the reality of it is gonna be kind of a bell curve. You know, we'll start off in year one, it may not be that, but the last few years will be pretty high, but that's how you can systematically think through it, you know? And here's another way you look at it. Let's say you were going to do it through rental properties. One rental property, let's say it rented for $2,500 a month, you know, times 12 months is, how much money is that? It's 30,000. Yeah, $30,000. Okay. That one rental property, if it was paid for free and clear down the road, would be enough. So if you picked up one rental property a year for the next 5 years and then paid them off in the remaining 5 years, then in 10 years, you'd have that passive income that you need. Do you see what I mean? I'm going to show you how to do this. We're going to get there. I'm just jumping ahead to paint a picture. Okay. Who needs help? If you're thinking it, someone else is. Did I go through it slow enough for you guys to get it? If I didn't, we can go back. Help a friend if they need it. Okay. All right. You guys got it? We're going to go forward? Yes or yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
All right. Good. Okay, how many streams of income do you have right now? You don't have to say it out loud, okay? How many streams of income do you have right now? A lot of people, well, hey, each of you in this room should have at least 2. What are those 2?
Profit share.
Profit share plus your income, right? So streams of income, you should have income being an agent plus profit share. Those are 2 that everybody in this room should be able to have, okay? All right, what's the benefit of having more than one stream of income? Tax benefits, you said? Yes, for passive income. Yes, yes. Why would you want to have more than one stream?
Or resilience.
Security, absolutely. Look at a lot of people that look at the people who are maybe in their 80s that were depending on dividends from stocks over these past few years. I feel bad for them. Some of them didn't get dividends or they had to change their lifestyle and they're not able to, they're at an age where they may not be able to work anymore, right? So that's why it's good for resilience, or it was resilience, I remember that, yeah. Over here somewhere, yeah. Resilience is a great word. It helps you insulate yourself from what happens in the market, okay? All right, so let's talk about how money is created. This is a chart that at a first glance, it looks confusing. Get it. We're going to deep breath, we're going to walk through it together and we'll make complete sense when we're done, okay? Gary put this together. Before I show you that, let me show you this one. Who knows where this came from? Who's seen this before?
Oh, that Japanese guy.
Yes, you were right. Yes. Robert Kiyosaki. Who's heard of the book Rich Dad Poor Dad? Okay, this is his equal cash flow quadrant, is what it is, cash flow quadrant. And let me walk you through how this typically works in life. And you can make income in any of these, and it might be at the same time you can have income. So a lot of people start off employee. Okay, they start off as an employee, they get a job somewhere. So you have a job, you're getting paid W-2 income for that job. Everybody in this room at some point says, you know what? I'm going to become a real estate agent. You are now, congratulations, self-employed. So you went from you have a job to now you own a job. Okay. And if you don't work, what happens?
You don't get
You don't get paid. You have to go out there and help buyers and sellers, and then you make money. The last time you pull a sign in the yards, the last time you get income in this world, unless you had done stuff on this side, businesses and investments, right? You guys follow that so far? Okay. Now, moving over to the right side of the quadrant, I want you to almost envision a line right here, okay? And what you want is you want as much income as possible to come from this right side, okay? The difference between a business and being self-employed, the litmus test, according to Robert Kiyosaki, is you can walk away for a year and that business still produces income without you. Now you actually have a business. A lot of doctors make great money, but if they step away, they're surgeons, they're not doing surgery, they're not making money anymore. You see what I mean? That's what happens. So we want to create businesses that run without us. Now, I'm not saying everybody go out and build a team. That's a way to do it. It could be multiple other businesses. There's a lot of people in this room that have ownership in those JVs, right? By the way, I'll give you some updates on that. Phenomenal so far, and there will be, if you just get it, there will be more opportunities soon, okay? Investor is the last category. So when you're a business owner, you're in control of your business. Like you own the business, so you're in control of decisions being made. If you chose to put that money in Apple, I can't really impact how Apple does, right? I don't make decisions for them. I'm not on the board for them. I could go out and buy 2,000 iPhones myself, and it's not really going to impact the profitability of a, what is it, $1 trillion company now? You know, it's passive. This is passive. This is active, like you can control it. This is completely passive. The moment we get to our income's coming from here is the minute we have more than what we need to live our life by design, that number you have written down, that's when we have financial freedom. Does that make sense? Now, here's the reality. It doesn't work like, it's not like a journey, like you go from here to here to here to here. You may be in 3 of these boxes at the same time. I am, right? W-2, general manager. Self-employed, you'll be the team that I build. Business owner, there's multiple businesses that I have ownership in. Investments, it would be rental properties and mutual funds and, you know, stocks and bonds and everything else. You see what I mean? You can be in all the different categories. You just want the majority of it coming from this side. Do you guys follow that? Does that make sense? Okay. And that's where the money works for you. All right, so question, now that we have the money, what options do we have to do with it? This is the confusing chart that I was going to show you, but it makes a lot of sense, okay? So here's how it works. Does everybody see this? Walk you through it. You have 2 ways to make money. Human capital, you work for money. You're out selling a property, you get a commission check, you work for that money, right? Capital assets, your money works for you. Rental properties would be a good example of that. You guys make sense so far? Okay. So you're creating income 2 ways. That creates cash flow. So now we have cash flow. What do we do with it? We have 4 options on what to do with it. By the way, I'll send out these slides after the class on Friday. Okay. I'll send out the slides. Okay. All right. So we have the cash flow. We have 4 options. We can invest it. We can save it. We can donate it, or we can spend it. What do you think most people do with it? Spend it, it's gone. Right? Sorry, poof, out the window. Okay. We need to get to a place where we're being smart about investing in our future. So let's talk about investing. So if we're going to invest it, so with the cash flow that comes in, we're choosing to invest it. We have 2 basic choices for investing. What are those choices? We can lend it to someone else to do money, to do something with our money, or we can use it to own something, like buy something like a business, real estate, owner financing, private lending. What's the difference? If we lend it to somebody else, that would be things like money market, CDs, bonds, treasury bills, stocks, REITs, mutual funds, index funds. They control it. We don't control. Once we hand that money out, we lend it to them. Here, you do something with it. They control it. Makes sense? Nothing wrong with that, right? It's just they're controlling it, okay? Or you buy something that you own and you control it. And what does that do? Those 2 things create financial returns. What do we do with financial returns? Back up to the top. You see what I mean? Does that make sense? The visual on how that flows? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So tell me about the predictability of the dividends from your stocks the past couple of years. I don't mind having a good, right? Some have been great, some have been awful. You know, it just depends, right? Okay. Now, let me click through this. What industry has created more millionaires than any others? Hence, you're in it. Real estate, right? The huge industry has created so many millionaires. And let's talk through what that looks like. Okay, so this clicker means battery may be getting low. Investment vehicle, real estate. So who's on the ALC? Raise your hand if you're on the ALC. It's okay, it's okay, it's all right. Gene Rivers, who knows who Gene Rivers is? Raise your hand if you know who Gene Rivers is. Okay, good, all right. So we had a conversation with Dean. He came to ALC retreat, I think it was this past year. I think it was February he was there. And he's a really smart guy. And sidebar, I remember him, he was telling a story about an agent he talked with. And the agent was, he drives this like old Tahoe. It has like 400,000 miles on it. And somebody's like, you're in this position, like, we know you make a ton of money. He runs the #1 team in Tallahassee. You know, he has office ownership. He's driving this old Tahoe. And somebody's like, why do you drive that old Tahoe? He's like, because I drive this old Tahoe to my beach house. Where do you drive your car to? And he actually said, my paid for beach house, you know? So we want to be smart, you know, with the things we do. It's the difference between being rich and wealthy, you know? Let me walk through something with you. This is where your ears should perk up. You're going to leave today with things to put in place in your business right now so you can help more buyers and sellers. This is one of the things we're going to walk through right now. So yes, it's going to help you. We're talking about you. We're also talking about helping you sell more properties. So pay attention to this part. So what's one of the biggest expenses for many of your clients? Lifetime expenses.
Kids.
Yeah, kids, and it could be their weddings, right? What's another really big expense? College. College is not cheap. Who's put their kid through college? Raise your hand, right? Not cheap, is it? At all. It depends if they're in state or out of state. Do they have, you know, financial grants or whatever else? But it's definitely not cheap. So kids and grandkids college. What's the average cost of college today? I ran some searches on our friend Google, and they said $25,000 to $50,000. Yes, it could be higher. Yes, it could be lower. Are they going to a community college? Are they going in-state, out-of-state? Yes, there's a lot of variables. But if you look at tuition, room and board, food, you know, all that kind of stuff, 25 to 50 grand per year. Okay. Car or gas. I'm feeling some pain here. If you've been through this. Health insurance, all that, right? Adds up. So this is actually on Google. You know, it says 25,000 per year, or you know, 102,000 over 4 years. Okay. So stick with me for a second. How many kids does the average household have? It's like 2 point something, which is weird at a point, but that's the truth, right? 2 kids. So 25 to 50 grand per year times 2 kids gives an average of $50,000 to $100,000 per year that they need to pay for their kids' college education. How many people have 50 to 100 grand extra to sit around? Not a lot, right? Unfortunately, not a lot. So we're talking a total cost of $200,000 to $400,000, and that's if the kid's only in school for 4 years. My mom will vouch for this. I was on the 6-year plan. You know, I changed majors like 3 times. I changed schools. I didn't know what I want to do with my life, you know, so I changed a lot. So 6 years. So this is a very real number and likely higher for a lot of people. Okay. So how many average Americans have that money? Not many of them do. So what's another way they could create the savings they need for their kids or grandkids' college education? Take a look at this. I know Molly has heard this and Marquita has. A lot of you haven't. So real estate. And let's look at a real example of what this would look like. Okay, and this is where you could post this on social media later. Feel free to take some pictures of this in a second. You'll see what I mean in just a second. So case study. Someone buys a home for their kid or grandkid when he or she is 5 years old. How many years do they have before they go to college? 13 years. Around 18 years old, they'll be going to college. You have 13 years. Let's say it's a $300,000 house. So how much do you have to put down? 20%. What's 20% of 300? 60 grand. So if somebody has 60 grand right now, they have an option. I can put it into stocks, bonds, mutual funds, index funds, or I could go buy a rental property. Which one makes more sense? Let's walk through this together, shall we? Appreciation. Do not look at what's happened over the past few years. You look at over the course of pretty much any 10 to 15 year period outside of the past 2 or 3 years, 5% appreciation is pretty standard. Okay. So 5% per year for 13 years. What is that home worth? After anybody that knows can't answer, Molly. Anybody that knows can answer. Take a guess. 13 years, $300,000 house. What do you think it's worth in 13 years?
Almost double.
Okay, great guess. Great guess. You guys want to see it? It is worth in 13 years $565,694. So great guess. Great guess. Okay. How much do they owe on it? So how much do they finance? They put down. They bought it for 300. They had to put down 60. So how much do they finance? Yeah, 240,000. I think the math I ran in this was like 6.5 or 7% or somewhere around there. I know the rates are, you know, not great right now, but the numbers will still hash out. What do you think they owe on the home? They financed 240. 13 years later, how much do they owe? 100 something? Now, keep in mind, you guys know this, right? That the way the AM chart works is it's front end loaded on interest. And they do that because they know that people move every 5 to 10 years and they want to get a lot of their money. Where if you stay in the house toward full 30 years, it's almost all principal at the back end. It's almost all interest in the front, almost all principal in the back. They're smart. They know what they're doing. Okay. Here's what the balance is. 183,746. You know, I did it like this. 300,000, 13 years, 5%. That's what it's worth. And then here's the AM schedule showing that I put the interest rate. I didn't, but that's what the balance would be. That makes sense? Okay. So what's the equity position there? Let's take a look. How much do they need to fund their kids' college education? 200,000 to 400,000. Do they have enough? Well, 565 minus 183 is 381. They're close. They're close. That's not far off, right? From one rental property could pay for just about 2 kids' full college educations. One property, 60 grand down, 13 years. Make sense? You guys see this? Right? Okay. Well, let's dig in a little bit more. Yeah. Okay. All right. So what if they took, so that's 60, they put in 60 grand, amount returned 381. I know you're like, well, yeah, there'll be fees if you sell it. Just stick with me. Okay. 60 grand, they have 381,000 in equity. Okay. Over 13 years, what's their ROI? 15.3%. Is that better than the stock market?
Yeah.
Last time I checked, a stock could be worth nothing. A house is always worth something. You see what I mean? And you talk about predictability of payments. It doesn't matter if the market's great, if the market's in the tank, if we're in a recession, we're not in a recession. The second basic human need behind food is what? Shelter. And you know what your payment's going to be because they signed a lease. You have no idea what your dividends are going to be, but you know when they sign a lease for that 1, 2, 3 years or more, you know exactly what it's going to be. And this is not the fun part. What happens if they aren't making their payments? You can put somebody else in there. That'd be a nice way to say it, right? So you know with very good predictability what your income is going to be for a long period of time. That makes sense? So 15% return just on that one property. Okay. All right. So let's talk about it. It gets a little better. It gets a little better than this, right? But wait, there's more. Especially if the clicker will work. Okay. What if the cash flow $300 per month after vacancies and repairs? Okay. I know these properties are hard to find right now because of interest rates, but yet they're out there. I've helped numerous agents in the past 6 months pick up a lot of properties that cash flow this. So yes, even in this office, I was talking with Tara's down here, Tara Tillman. We found one. She didn't end up being able to get it. It would have cash flowed like $500 or $600 a month after everything. It was a good one, right? You guys know Tara, or some of you do, right? So they're out there. You got to find them. So the cash flow $300 per month after vacancies and repairs, that's $3,600 a year in cash flow, right? So the whole time you have it for this 13 years, after accounting for that, $3,600 per year. That's $46,000 in additional money if you just held on to it. So remember that 380 something? And you're like, well, but you got to pay, real estate commission. Okay, it's covered. Set aside $300 to cover. Don't touch that money. That's your kid's future. Set aside the money. But you're like, well, wait a second. What if I did something smarter with it? What if maybe this is another option? What if you took that $300 a month and what if you invested it into index funds? And 8% is a pretty good, they typically say 8 to 12% is what you can expect. 8% over 13 years should be able to happen in an index fund. Okay. What would happen to that $300 per month? I ran the chart. Let's take a look. This gives another 80 grand after 13 years. You have the 381 plus the 80, take out commissions or whatever else to sell it if they wanted to sell it, right? And they've got well over $400,000 to pay for kids' education. You guys catch this so far? Okay. All right. So, and I just showed this is where I did it. Starting amount $0 after 13 years, 8% return rate, $300 at the end of every month gives us 80 grand. Okay. They would have invested 46,800, right? But they would have received $80,000. Okay. All right. But it gets even better than that. I'll show you how. Okay. Doing the math, 381 in equity plus the 80,000 gives me 462 in total equity. That looks good. Now the ROI is up to 17%. Like, are you kidding? That's an outrageously good return. Why is it better? Because if I want $60,000 of stocks, how much do I have to pay? If I want to buy 60 grand stocks tomorrow, what do I have to pay? 60 grand. If I want to buy a $600,000 property and somebody else is going to pay it off, or $300,000 property in this case, what do I have to pay?
20%.
20%, 60 grand. I'm controlling the asset, somebody else is paying it off. It's appreciating at the value of the property, not at the 60 grand I put in. Make sense? It's not appreciating 5% per year on the 60 grand. That's why somebody's like, well, I can get 10 to 15% in the stock market. I'm like, yeah, the money you put in, right? I can get 5% being really conservative on 80% more than what I put in, you know, a $300,000 investment. And I'm no math whiz, but 5% of 300 is a lot better than 10% of 60. Do you see what I mean? And that's the reality. Those are facts. Okay. So 17% return. Okay. What would happen if I just took that $60,000 and put it back in the stock market instead of buying a rental? That's absolutely okay. If somebody doesn't have the stomach for rental property, put it into, you know, index fund. That's fine. What would happen? Here's the real numbers. $60,000, same 13-year period, 8% return rate gives you an end balance of 163. What was the balance with the rental? 460, 470, somewhere around there. Again, I'm pretty sure that here it is. $462,129 is significantly larger than 163. You guys see it? Okay. And that's after accounting for vacancies, repairs, and things like that. We'll dig into details. I know we have some high C people in here like, hey, but what about this? What about, we'll get there. We'll get into that. Okay. We'll talk about the little pieces too. This doesn't even calculate tax benefits. Okay. So this is where, like, for a while when somebody talked about this, I'm like, what do you mean tax write-off, tax benefits? Like, put this in English. So what if you took that extra cash capital each year and had reinvested it for the same 13 years? This is what happens. Let me show an example. Okay, this is what it looks like. Use a pen here. Okay, so let's say you bought a $300,000 property. Let's say the land, just for this exercise, was worth $30,000. That means the improvement was worth $270,000. Okay. Like the sticks and bricks and sheetrock and hardwood is valued at 270. The land's worth. You guys follow that so far? What the government does is they let you do something called, even though they don't depreciate, they let you use it as a tax write-off. So you divide this by 27.5 years. I'm just going to say 27, just to make numbers easy. That gives us a I'll move these chairs, a $10,000 write-off per year. Okay, so what does that mean? What does that mean? If you own 10 properties that you bought for $300,000, okay, that the government, you own 10 of these, so you have 10 properties times $10,000 is how much money? 100 grand. 100 grand. So if you made $100,000 in your real estate career and you own 10 properties that gave you $100,000 in write-offs, how much taxes do you owe? Yeah. That's why you'll hear people saying, I made all this money and I didn't pay anything in taxes. They weren't being evasive. If the government, the tax code, all the pages behind it are to encourage the activities they want. If they just wanted to just base it up, the easiest way to do this would be, hey, here's your income, here's your tax bracket, pay the taxes. All those other pages are for them to encourage you to do something they want. Let me give you an example. Right now, government's big on like solar and electricity and things like that. So what are they giving tax incentives for? Exactly that, right? They encourage what they want. When they wanted to drill for oil, they would give you tax benefits if you invested in the companies that were drilling for oil. They pick what they need help with, and they give you the opportunity to invest in that. Why do they like real estate? Because when you buy a house, and let's say a tenant's been in there for 10 years, what do you have to do before you rent it out again? Paint, carpet, repairs, right? Okay, so that provides for laborers, that provides income for other people that need it. And then the warehouses, the manufacturers have to make the sheetrock and the paint and everything. It provides jobs for the economy. Make sense? So this is a good thing. Take advantage of this. Do you see what I mean? If you own 20 properties and you made 200 grand a year, now you pay 0 in taxes. Make sense? You guys follow that? Okay, all right, good. That's the easiest way I can explain it. So what if you took that tax write-off? So from each, if you just had that one rental property that you bought for that kid or grandkid's education, you took that tax write-off each year, like what does that look like? $10,000, I think I have it up here in a second, I'll show it. Let's say your tax bracket's 30%, 40%, whatever it is, let's say it's 30%. That means your actual savings are 3 grand. Does that make sense? Like if the government says you owe us 80 grand because of what you made this year in real estate, you say, hang on, I have a $10,000 tax credit and income. they're gonna say, well, because of your tax bracket, you owe 30% less than that thing. We're taking it out the top. It's not 10, it's not like you go from owing 80 to owing 70. You go from owing 80 to owing 77. Do you see what I mean? You get a little break based on your tax bracket. So if you took that $3,000 every single year and you put it again into stocks, bonds, mutual funds, index funds, and got an 8% return, you'd have another 51 grand. Do you see how these dominoes stack up? And it's like, why wouldn't I do this? And the reason is most people don't know. Nobody's ever sat down like this and educated them. Imagine if you had your entire database sitting in something like this, what they'd be asking you to do right afterwards. Hey, can you go help me find some properties? Like, what does this look like? So it would have been a total equity of $513,000. Now we're well past what it would take to pay for their kids' education. Okay, got it? Okay. So, and I gave the calculators on how to do all that. And I think, what did I use? I said annual contribution, I picked 2,400 is what I picked to contribute. So, all right. How many people in your database need to hear this? Every single one of them. Every single one of them should know at least what their options are. Hey, I just sat in this class and I learned about, how to buy how buying one property can pay for 2 kids' college education in 13 or grandkids' college education in 13 years. That same 60 grand, rather than making 160 on it, could have an equity position of $500,000. Right? Being conservative, 5% appreciation. Let's talk about it. That could be a social media post you put up, So, all right. So how could you get this message out? I gave one way, social media. What are some ways you could get this message out? How would you share that? Yeah. Call. Yeah, absolutely. Pick up the phone and call them. Your touches to your database could be just call them, tell them about it, Yes.
So if someone, they just purchased their primary residence about a year ago, how sooner they can start paying it?
A great question. And what I've been told by CPAs, as long as your initial intent was to live in the house, it doesn't matter how quickly after you do it, because you're not necessarily selling this property. They're going to keep it. So the good thing about it's kind of called house hacking is another way to look at it. If you buy a house and you move into it and you live in it for a year or so, then you can actually move on to another property. You got the best interest rate you possibly could, but you can absolutely turn it into a rental quicker if you're talking to somebody that said, "Let's move into this one, but we might like to buy another property." They absolutely could and keep that.
You can take the out from the house and then invest in another.
Oh, let me show you. Let me show you an actual easier way to do it. Good question. So how else do we get the message out? Phone calls, social media, what else? Email, yes. Newsletter, yeah. Postcard, you name it, whatever, pigeon, like whatever it is for you to get more people to see the message. So it should be everywhere. What if it was in each one of your email signatures? Did you know one rental property could pay for up to 2 kids out of college education? Ask me how. Wow. That could be in it could be on your business card. What if you gave at every closing, you gave an MREI, the Millionaire Real Estate Investment Book, out to every client at closing, sharing what we just covered? Maybe it's just a screenshot or a printout, and you guys will get these, just that one calculation page. Maybe in the front cover, you open it up. And in that front cover, you wrote, choose to be the creator of your kids' college education and future. Or maybe you wrote in that front cover, decide to create the lifestyle you want in retirement. Or maybe you wrote in that front cover, provide a legacy of financial stability for your kids and generational wealth for your family long after you're gone. That's pretty powerful, isn't it? This is our industry. People need to know about this. They just don't. They're fed a line about investing. And I have investments in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, right? We want different streams of income. If I'm gonna put my eggs in a basket, I like this one a lot better, right? For the reasons I just showed you. Okay. So where else can we share this? We talked about it. All right, so let's talk about it next. So here's the thing that may happen. They may say to you, "Oh, that sounds so good, but all my money's tied up in my 401k. It's gonna be a year or two before I come up with 60 grand to buy a property." Okay. All right, check this out. Did you guys know that if this button works, we could move on? Did you know that you or your clients can actually use their current 401k and direct it towards real estate without triggering a taxable event? What? How? It's called a self-directed IRA or 401k. This is actually clickable. So when you get this PDF, you'll be able to click on this. It's a Forbes article, and I'm gonna give you a company in a second. I think I put it in here. The company, I had a couple agents after I shared this. They're like, "Oh, I had Deborah Bloomfield. She's not here, but no, it wasn't Deborah. May have been. Somebody gave me a couple of them that they've used in the past that can do this. So they'll walk you through it. So this is the top 6 benefits of owning real estate. Cash flow per month. equity that you're building in the property. You've got to hedge against inflation because it doesn't matter if the market's going up or down, you know what your rental rate's gonna be. You can leverage the funds. If you needed money, if you had that house paid for and a life event happened, an emergency, you could pull out 100, 200, 300 grand in cash within 3 weeks, right? And do you get taxed on that money? You don't. Cash out refi, you can get that, not recommending it, but you can if you're an emergency, right? Whereas if you sold stock, guess what just happened? Taxable event, you have to pay taxes on it. See what I mean? Tax advantages each year and appreciation, that 5%. See that, all the benefits that happen there? Okay, the power of investing in real estate, that $100,000 you have, this is if you're buying $100,000 properties, could be $500,000 in controlled assets. Or that could be one, right? $100,000 could buy a $500,000 home, okay? All right. So what's your lid? This is what Gene Rivers was sharing at the ALC event. He shared that and he shared this too. Lifestyle, investment, and debt. Okay. And he walked us through this lifestyle. What do you want your lifestyle to look like? We wrote this down on this first page. And if you haven't written it down yet, I know not everybody was here at the very beginning. Make sure we fill out this first page. Okay. So what do you want your lifestyle to look like? That's the part where it says, what does a life by design look like to you? A life where I can, a life where I have, write that down. Complete financial freedom to do whatever I want. Take the vacations I want, passive income to do what I want, right? Okay. What would that lifestyle cost per year? We wrote that down too. Remember, what's your freedom? What's your freedom number to live your life by design? May not be where you're at now. It may be where you're at now plus the lifestyle you want to live. Okay. Everybody has that number written down from, okay. All right. So look at page 1 of your handout. Everybody's got that? Look at page 1 of your handout. And I'm going to give you an example. Nobody has to share their number right now. I just want to walk through an example for you so you can see how what this looks like. Let's say you said in my household, our freedom number is $300,000 per month. We made per year. We made $300,000 last year. We don't have any extra money left over. So we know our burn rate's $300,000 per year. Let's say that was your number, okay? $300,000, okay? So investment, what's your wealth strategy? Where are you going to put the money to create that $300,000 in passive income in the next 5, 10, 15 years? What would that look like, okay? Example, to get to $300,000 in passive income through real estate investments, that might be one way. Or you could say through businesses that I own. Maybe you own ancillary businesses that complement your real estate business. I'll give you an example. Daryl Leibold has the company that she works a lot with elderly. And what she has a company that does like the clean out, the repairs, you know, like the white glove service. What's that?
State, yeah.
Yeah, state stuff. She does that, but that's another business that's not real estate. She gets paid commission for selling the home. You know, she helps them move into assisted care or whatever else. But she has a separate business that takes care of everything else getting it up to that point. Okay. She owns that business. And she's hiring people in that business, and eventually that business runs without her and creates some passive income. Okay, make sense? Okay, so if we did it through real estate in this example, let's take a look at what that would look like. Debt. How many homes would it take to get there? So if your freedom number is $300,000 a year, how many homes would it take to get there? You can do it 2 ways, right? And I'm going to show you the 2 different strategies. If I were aiming for a 10% return, then we need $3 million in real estate. How did he come up with that number? I'll show you. What's 10% of 3 million? $300,000. Okay. So got it. Okay. Where do you do 10% though? How does that work? Let me show you. We'll get better than a 10%. I showed you that return, much better than a 10%. He's being conservative with this. So let's take a look at what this looks like. Let's say you had a $300,000 house. This house. Okay. Let's say it rented for $2,500 a month. What does that equal? Well, $2,500 per month times 12 months. Should be 30,000, right? Is it 30? Is that right? Okay, interesting. What's 10% of 300,000?
30,000.
Is it reasonable to assume you can rent a $300,000 house for $2,500 a month?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his rule of thumb, right? And if they were paid for, we might have like a 5-year acquisition and a 5-year payoff, then we know that's what we're making. And if we have 10 of those properties, we're making $300,000 a year. You guys follow it? So we can actually divide out how many homes we need paid for, free and clear. And this is like where you'll see two different schools of thought. I'll give you both. Some people, if you do like the Dave Ramsey method, they want everything paid off, right? Debt snowball, get rid of all debt, okay? And you have other people that like leverage is good as long as you don't abuse it. It's really up to your comfort level. There's a great book that I recommend you write down. You can listen to it when you're driving. Would you like to know who Robert Kiyosaki's CPA is that gives him all his financial advice? Yep. It's a guy named Tom Wheelwright. Tom Wheelwright. And the book is called Tax-Free Wealth.
Great book, though.
It is. And it gets into some detail, but tax-free wealth, Tom Wheelwright. He gets into what percent is like a healthy to have on an investment property, because there's some, his view is you don't want to pay it completely off. You want to leave a certain, percentage on there, Dave Ramsey will tell you pay them all off. It's up to your comfort level, okay? The one I'm going to go through today is a 5-year acquisition and a 5-year payoff, right? And the reason is I want to do the least risky way, and then you can amp up your risk level if you want to. So I want to start with the one I know everybody can relate with. Hey, I own 5 or 10 properties free and clear, and then move up to, well, what if I had leverage? How much more would they be worth if I did that? Make sense? Okay. All right, so let's take a look at it. Typical scenario. You bought a $300,000 house. It cash flows $300 per month after expenses. That's $3,600 a year. It appreciated 5% per year. What would it be worth in 10 years? Obviously not the 565, because this is 10 years rather than 13. We're just talking about a 10-year plan. Like I want to be debt-free in 10 years. I want to have financial freedom in 10 years that pays for everything. Okay. It'll be worth 488, not 565, 488, okay, in 10 years. That's at a 5% appreciation. The mortgage balance is not 183, because remember, it's 10, not 13 years, it's 200. So right now we have $287,000 in equity in that property after 10 years. You would have also received $36,000 in cash flow, from that property. 3,600 per year times 10 years gives you that 3,600. $287,000 in equity plus the $36,000 in cash flow gives us $323,823 in cash from that home. What's the return on the $60,000 you put down? 18%. That's a darn good return. That's better than 10%. Again, we're being really conservative with the 10%. Okay. This doesn't include the tax benefit we went through. Okay. All right, so let's jump into more specifics here. And I showed it right here. 60,323 return, 10 years, 18%. Okay. 5-year acquisition plan, 5-year payoff plan. This is what we've been building towards. What does this look like? And if your plan is 15 years, then do a 7-year acquisition, 8-year payoff. You see what I mean? Or if it's 5 years, maybe it's a 3-year acquisition, 2-year payoff, or 2-year acquisition, 3-year payoff. Cater it to your time. Remember, one of these questions is, when do I need to have it by? When do I need to get there? What's your timeline? Okay, here's what it looks like. Everyone look at your lifestyle number from page 1. What is that number you wrote down? Your freedom number. It's in the middle of the page. Don't say it out loud. Your freedom number. Does everybody have that number written down? Yes? Okay. All right. Take a look at that number. We're going to create your 5 to 10 year acquisition plan and 5-year payoff plan. So let's go through it together, or whatever it is for you. So everybody has their number. This is where you have to bring out your pencil. You'll need a calculator. So have your calculator, have that ready as well. We're going to do it together. Okay. And what you'll want to do, think about what you made last year. Because I know you guys came a few minutes ago, think about what you made last year. How much extra money did you have left over? If you didn't have any extra money, that's how much money you want to write down. That's your freedom number. Okay. Got it. Okay. So how many properties do you need using the 10% number? So remember a second ago, we said, well, if I need $300,000 a year in passive income, then I need $3 million in property that I'm controlling because of the rental rate. We know this is what it'll look like if we paid them off. Okay. All right. So if you need $200,000, how much would you need in property? $2 million. If you needed $100,000 in a year per year passive income, how much property would you need? 1 million. You guys got it? If you need $500,000 a year, you need 5 million. Make sense? Take this. Here's an easy way to do this. I'm gonna need my calculator to do this. I forgot if you divide by 0.10 or divide by 0.9. Take your number with your calculator. Get your calculator out. Take your number, whatever you had on the front page, whatever your freedom number is, like what you spent last year to live your life, total household income. Put that number in your calculator real quick. Yeah. Now press divided by 0.1. Everybody have their number now? Take your freedom number, 150, 200, 350, 380, whatever it was, divided by 0.1. That tells you how much property you need to acquire in real estate. Okay? Does everybody have their number? Does anybody not have it? I'll help you. Everybody got it? Yes? Okay. All right. So if we look at this, how many properties do you need? Well, in this example, let's just use a $300,000 property. No, you're not going to get them right here. Okay. You're gonna have to go on the outskirts a little bit, but yes, you can find them. Okay. So 300,000. So take your number, whatever that was, that 2 point whatever million, 4 point whatever million, whatever that was, whatever's in your calculator right now, press divided by 300,000. Divided by 300,000. Yes, that's the average price per property. It's going to tell you how many properties you need. Okay, somebody tell me how many homes they need to acquire to get their freedom number. What is it?
8 1/3.
8 1/3. We can't own a third of a property, so you're rounding up to 9, my friend. You know? Okay, somebody else, give me their number. What is it? How many homes? I heard 6, 7, yes?
17.
5, 17. Great, love it, right? Go big, let's go. Yeah, okay. Everybody have their number of homes? We need this in order to move on. You gotta have this in order to move on, okay? Right, got it? Okay. Okay, all right. So don't worry about if it was 18% return. I want to do more math for you. You would need less properties if you got an 18% return, but we're going to be conservative here. Okay, so the goal is to buy 1 property per year for 10 years, or it may be 1 per year for 5 years and pay them off in the next 5 years. So let me walk through what this looks like. If we had 10 homes times a $300,000 purchase price, we need $3 million in property, okay? All right, 10% of 3 million is $300,000 per year in passive income. That's how we got this, right? That's how we got this number. Okay, you have your number for yours. So yours, you just insert this right here for you. Remember, there's 12 months in a year, not 10. That's why some people will be like 2,500 times 10 is only 25,000. No, there's 12 months in a year. It's 30,000. Okay. All right. Cash needed. You need, if you're buying a $300,000 house, how much money do you need in down payment? At least 20%. It's either 20 or 25, and you get a better rate if you do 25% down, but at least 60 grand. So $60,000 in after-tax money is 85,000 in pre-tax money. I'm making assumptions based on tax rates, okay? But in most scenarios, if you have $85,000 in earned income, you gotta pay some taxes on it, you'll have 60 left to buy that property. You guys follow it so far? So if you have some people, like one person who had the 6, so the number 6 properties, give or take. Okay, a few people. So it's essentially, let's do rather than a 10 year, if yours was like 5-year acquisition and 5-year payoff, you need to buy 1 property per year, and maybe the last year you buy 2. Make sense? Okay, that way every year buying at least 1 home for the first 5 years, and then the last 5 years you're paying off. That's the way I want us to set it up. I'll change that, but 5-year acquisition, take your number 17, for example. If we're going to acquire them in 5 years, not 10, you've got to buy at least 3 properties per year, right? For the next 5 years. On that 5th year, we should have enough to buy an extra 2. You see what I mean? You guys follow it? Okay. How many properties do you need to buy per year? Somebody give me some numbers. How many per year? If we're going to get there by 5 years, the acquisition of your properties, how many do you need per year? 2? Yeah, you have to round up. It can't be a decimal, you know? Yeah. Okay. Who else? I know we got yours, 5 point something, 6. Okay. Yep. How many properties do you need? If you're going to acquire, you need a certain number of properties. Everybody in this room gave you the number of properties they need. Divide that number by 5. You have your total number of properties you need. Divide that number by 5. What's that number for you? 3. Yeah, Molly's is 3. 3 per year for the next 5 years. And
Okay. We take the number that we need to divide it by 5.
Yes, the number of properties you need to own and divide it by 5 years. How many is that per year? So how many did you need to own, Markia?
It's 1.4.
1.4 million worth of property?
No.
Or 1.4 homes?
Oh.
2.
Yeah.
two. So I mean, okay, so if you have a number where you only need 1 or 2 homes per year, like if your freedom number's, 60, 70, 80 grand a year, it may only be 1 point something per year. That means your cost of living is low, which is great, right? So you could acquire that in next year, this year, that can happen quickly. That may be where some of the confusion came. Who's confused? I must have confused somebody. Yes, Carrie.
I don't know where Corey.
Corey, sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know where actually.
Okay. So I'm gonna help you. So take a look at this. We're gonna do this together. All right, so, and this is so important for the rest of this, so I want to take just a second, Corey, to go through it. And what you just asked, somebody else is thinking it right now.
Yeah.
So we're going to do this together, okay?
I got you.
Okay. All right. Okay, so how we got here is you take your freedom number, okay? I'm not gonna ask you for your number, just follow along with me, write this down, everybody write down their freedom number. Do it like this, take your piece of paper, write the word freedom number, and write it right here, whatever your number is, okay? In this example, I'm gonna make up a number. Okay, your freedom number, so just follow down the piece of paper with me, okay? Put that number in your calculator, press divided by 0.1.
And tell me again why we're doing that.
10% return.
10%.
Yeah, 10% return. Remember on that $300,000 house, it rents for $2,500 a month. 12 months gives us 30 grand. What percent of $300,000 is 30 grand? 10%. We get about a 10% return off each property. Okay. Okay, so that gives us in this example, this gives us $2 million. Does everybody have that so far? You have your freedom number. Hey, Derek. Hey, good to see you again. This guy's managed a couple properties in his life. How many do you manage right now? 82. Yeah. So good to see you. So $200,000 was your freedom number per year. Freedom number on that side too. Divided by 0.10 is your return. You can so 2 million. You need to control $2 million worth of property. Okay, got it so far?
Yeah.
In this example, for the exercise today, we're saying divided by an average price per home of $300,000. Okay, gives us a number. In this example, I don't know what that is, so I'm going to use the calculator.
0.67.
Yeah, so it's 7. So I'm going to round up to 7 homes, So equals, I need 7 homes. Okay, so 7 homes needed. Are you guys to this part so far? Raise your hand if you've gotten to this part. Okay. Leah, did you get to this? Are we to here? You know how many homes you need? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, now divided by 5. Why? It's our years of acquisition. Okay. Now this gives us like a decimal, right? It's like 1 point, Marquis, that's kind of what you were saying, like 1 point something, So it's essentially 1 per year, and then year 5, we're gonna pick up 2. You know what I mean? Or that year. Make sense? Okay. Did that help? Seeing it like that? I thought that way. I was hoping that would help out. I could probably add in, it'd be really helpful. Okay, I'm gonna write this down or I'll forget. I don't have a pen. Somebody send me a text. Thank you. Okay.
1 per year, 2, and 2 in year 5.
Yeah, I said 2 in year 5 for this example. Because if you bought 1 per year for 5 years, you only have 5 homes, you wouldn't have 7. We need 7. So you have to get an extra one, one of those years or 2, that extra year. Twice, yeah. Twice, actually, yeah, 2 times you'd have to extra buy 2. So I'm gonna write down, I'm gonna create a spreadsheet. I'm gonna create a spreadsheet where you can just calculate it. Like I'd say, everybody scan this QR code and it's gonna bring you this little page on your phone. And it's gonna say, plug in your freedom number and it's gonna go, here you go. Would that be easier?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we'll do that next time. We'll do that. Okay, but we're here now. So you have 7 homes needed in this example. You have 5 years to acquire them. So you're gonna buy 1 to 2 homes per year. Okay, got it? Okay, how much do we need per year to buy at least 1 property? Well, we need to make $85,000 to have $60,000 in after-tax money. Got it? Got all that so far? Okay, so 6 additional.
Wait, sorry, rewind that last part.
Yes. If you're gonna buy, if your thing is you have to buy one property per year, how much do you have to put down on a $300,000 property? Minimum
5%.
20 on a investment. 25%. What's 20% of $300,000? You've got to put down 60 grand. But in order to put down 60, you can't just come up with 60 grand and put down 60 grand. You're gonna have to owe taxes, you know, on any income you make as an agent. This is after tax money. So if you're gonna buy a rental property, right, you've got to create probably 85,000 or so in order to have 60, you know, in order to put down on the home. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, that way you pay taxes with it, you know? Okay. All right, everybody got that? So if your goal is to, if you have to pick up 2 properties per year, who has to pick up 2 per year? Okay, then what you need to write down is gonna be double this number. It's gonna be 85 times 2, you know, that's gonna be, was that 170, right? Who has the number 3? There you go. So 3 years would be 85,000 times 3 in earned income as a real estate agent. Okay, make sense? Who has the number 4? Got it? So most people in here are 1, 2, or 3, what it sounds like. Okay? Yes.
Sorry.
Corey.
So
You're thinking it, other people are thinking it too, so you're good.
that's just the money you have to put down to buy the home.
Yes.
So you have to live too.
Yes.
To have your
We're getting there.
other.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. Yeah, this is extra money you need on top of what you're already paying your bills. Yeah, we're getting there. You're on the right, Corey, you're on the right track. That's exactly where we're going with this. Yes.
Great.
Okay. That's why you got stuck. I see it now. You're like, man, I got bills here. I gotta eat. Yeah, this is in addition to your regular. So in other words, if you made $100,000 last year in real estate and you spent every penny of that, in order to be on this plan, this year, you better make 185. You know what I mean? Because if you make 185, you're gonna spend the 100. We know that's your burn rate. And the 85 is gonna be used to put 60 down on the property. Okay? Did I get everybody now? Does that make more sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay. All right. Yeah, double those numbers if you want to do it in 5 years. I'm gonna change that to be a 5-year plan. Okay, during the acquisition phase, put all the cash flow back into buying more properties faster. You guys have heard of like Dave Ramsey snowball method. Remember, I told you I'm gonna give you the conservative one, and then there's of course a more aggressive way to do this. We're gonna go conservative first and then more aggressive. So conservative is what we're gonna talk about for now. Okay, so during the acquisition phase, when you're getting that $300 per month per property in cash flow, don't go spend it, right? Put it back, bank it, put it back in the property. We're debt snowballing this thing to pay it off, okay? What does this look like? If you're on a 10-year acquisition plan, it'll actually only take 7 years to buy them and a total of 18 years to have them all paid off, okay? Why? Because of debt snowball, right? That's what happens. The more you get, if you have 2 properties, now you have $600 a month extra. If you have 3 properties, now you have $900 a month extra. If you have 4 properties, you see what I mean? You start getting more cash flow, okay? Now, if you're on a 5-year acquisition plan, which is really what we're talking about today, it'll take you 4 years to buy them. Why? Because you're taking that cash flow. You know you need $60,000 per property, right? Well, by year 3, you may have already bought 2 per year. And now you have, by year 3, you have 6 properties. They're each cash flowing $300 a month. So it's not going to take you all year long to get to that 60 grand a year. You're going to get there quicker because you have more properties. You're taking think of it like this. Here's an easier way to do this. Go open a separate account, not tied to your parent account. Okay, so you won't be able to move around money really easily. It needs to be like my real estate investing account. Okay, and then every time you have income coming in from your rental properties, put it in that account. Every time that property, that account hits $85,000, you put 15 aside for taxes, you use that 60 to go buy a property. Make sense? Derek?
Right now, you can leverage that even better because all the savings accounts right now are offering between 4% and 5.5% interest. So you take that money and you put it into that type of account while you're saving it up and you're getting there even quicker.
Exactly. Great point. They have better interest rates now. So the goal is as soon as it hits 85,000 that account, you're using 60 of it to go buy a property. If you have a high interest yield checking account, that's going to help you get there quicker. The more properties you have as you're going through this journey, the more you're acquiring. Year 1, you may only have 1. Year 2, now you have 2 properties. Year 3, you have 3 properties. So each time is not taking the full year to get to that 85 grand. You're getting there quicker. Yes.
Quick question. What account did you mention that we can put the money on?
Oh, most like if you go to sitbank.com, that's where we put some of ours. They have a high yield savings account that is FDIC protected. I think my wife's getting like 4.75 on that. I'm a Vanguard Premier client, so I have access to a Vanguard savings account that's similar. It's protected, and then I get about 5.25% off of that for any money I put up to 250 in there. And up to 250 is the FDIC protected amount, so.
Now, to become a banker, to have to have access to it, what do you need?
Well, you don't need anything for the sit bank and most of these other, Chase, I think, has a program like that. For Vanguard, you have to, I have my retirement with them. And so I have a certain level of retirement. Once you reach a certain level, they offer you additional perks like this,
Ask the bank you have now if they have a high interest yield. They might. And my recommendation is don't make them tie together. If you open up your mobile app and you can see it's too easy if you see all the accounts in one spot to just move money around. Yeah, don't do that. Yeah.
You can use short-term CDs too, 3 to 6 month CDs because you're probably not gonna use it.
Yeah. Marquia next and we'll have some
BGS Bank is also, and Ameris, they are.
Yeah, Ameris, that's what we used to, and they did
They
it.
both are offering.
Yeah,
right now.
they are. That's exactly why I said that. We have Ameris too, and they did the same thing, like 4.5% or something. Marquia.
You know, I have a screenshot of the high yield savings from the Brett Center, if she wants it, I can send.
Oh, yeah.
It's about like 15 companies on here.
Connect.
They all have
Yeah.
4% higher.
Yeah, connect if you can. Okay, all right, so if we're on a 5-year acquisition plan, it'll take about 4 years to buy them, and about 11 years to have them all paid off. And all you're doing is during this period, even once you have picked up your last property by year 5, still keep saving that $85,000. And instead of buying another property with it, remember we're doing the debt snowball, we're paying off property number 1. Do you see what I mean? And as soon as we get that 60 grand, we're paying off that we're dumping it back into property number 1. We get 60 grand, dumping it back into every penny we get from the cash flow of all of our properties, we're paying off property number 1. It was the first one we had. Once property number 1's paid off, now we're getting $2,500 a month free and clear. Plus we have the cash flow from the other properties, $300 per month. Plus we have the money we're saving, our 60 grand a year, 85 really, for another property, but instead of doing another property, we're dumping it back into property 1. Does that make sense? You continue the same plan of saving whatever your number was. If yours was 3, so you're going to continue above what you'd normally sell in real estate, doing that 85 times 3. What is that? 170, 250, 265 or something, 255. You need to continue doing that for the entire 10, 11 year period, right? But you're just dumping, if you have a $300,000 property and you still have $255,000 every year, you're going to pay off those properties pretty quick after you're done with the acquisition phase. Do you see what I mean? That's what that looks like. It's a debt snowball. Who did I confuse right then? I probably confused somebody. Does that make sense? Just think of it like every penny that you get from these properties, you're putting back into property number 1 to paying it off. Until you pay that off, then you do property number 2, then property number 3, then property number 4. Make sense? Okay, and I think I put on here how, because math. I had this confusing chart. I seriously spent all this time creating this like spreadsheet that showed the year you buy it in. I was like, their eyes are gonna cross when they look at that. So I was like, you know what, because math, Yeah. Yes, Marquita.
So with this method, in this case, you're holding them.
Yeah.
But if you want to, let's just say if you can acquire a property that's 120, for example, and then you put the renovations there, and then you do a cash out refi.
We're gonna get to that.
I was gonna say, would this be the same?
Different. We're gonna get to that. Here's a great question. We have great questions and all of you are asking the same thought process I have. We're definitely getting there. I put it in here. Anything I don't have in there, I'm gonna create. So we'll get there. That's what it looks like. So 5-year acquisition ends up being about 6-year payoff as long as you do that debt snowball. Don't touch any of the money. Keep saving that same amount of money that you wrote down you were going to save every single year and just keep compounding it back into those properties. And we're sitting here 10.87 years from today, 11 years from today, you are completely debt. All those are paid for and you've got that passive income to do whatever you want with for the rest of your life. Okay. The more risky way, I won't call it risky, is you don't necessarily have to pay off every property. You could use that extra money to buy more properties, right? You're leveraged, right? But again, it's your risk factor. We're going towards the conservative route, and there's a happy medium in between. Okay. All right. So if you had 10 homes free and clear, times $2,500 per month, in cash flow, it's $25,000 per month. It's $300,000 per year. You buy, I think we went through this. Yeah, this might just be, why is it doing all this again? We went through all these. Okay. Oh, yeah. Look at the bottom. I said, hey, Marquita, or flip to fund your long-term investment, 0 out-of-pocket costs and 0 additional sales needed. How do we do that? And then I said, just wait a second, we'll get there. Your mind, when I was creating this, like that's exactly where my mind went to, you know, so you're good. Okay, first let's look at the other tips, advice, and benefits. I think Derek could probably chime in on a few of these. So Gene shared some really good ideas. A couple of them I had already been doing with rentals, a couple I had not. So here's what he said, tips on increasing the cash flow of the rentals. One of them, he charges a washer and dryer package of $75 per month for his rentals, right? And he goes to him, he says, look, you know, it doesn't come with a washer and dryer, you know, but if you want one, we have a package for you at $75 per month. And a lot of people want to hit the easy button. They're like, okay, I'll do that. How much did he pay for the washers and dryers? He went and bought them used at like the used appliance store for $150, you know? Do people pay it? Yes. He owns dozens and dozens and dozens of rentals and they pay it, you know? Especially in a market right now where how quick do rentals sell?
Still, you know, 7 to 14 days for most of ours that are priced right, good condition. And we just had our last little rush. We had 10 listings 15 days ago and we're down to 2. So that back to school rush did just like it normally does.
It almost doesn't even matter the market. There's always a demand for rental properties. You know, they need a place to live. So that's one of the things he does. I haven't done that, but he's a smart guy and he does it, you know? Yeah, Derek.
We supply that with all of our properties anyway, and we just add that into the average rent cost. Of, you know, these are ones renting without it. We're gonna add about that much to rent with it. And instead of having it as an additional fee.
Yeah, that'd be another way to do it.
It's like landscaping included too.
Well, hey, thank you. Lawn maintenance package fee. You could say, all right, hey, it's in a neighborhood, you know, the grass has got to be mowed, bushes have to be trimmed. You have 2 options. Either you can do it yourself, or we'll charge you on lawn maintenance fee. And let's say it costs you $150 per month. Charge them $200. You know what I mean? That way you have $50, you're getting an extra cash flow. And you start adding this up like $50 there, $75 there. All of a sudden you've increased your cash flow per property quite substantially, right? You said that you guys have that. What do you charge typically for a monthly lawn maintenance fee?
So our guys, most of our guys in the size of our lawns, we've got a contractor that does almost all of ours, and he's $150 a month year round, and that includes, you know, cleaning up the leaves, you know, trimming hedges when they're needed, stuff like that. And then we, you know, we'll often just go right at that mark, but yeah, sometimes we'll do $200 over the
175 or whatever,
175, 200, and net the extra. Yeah,
that's what
we're coordinating that. We're providing the service of doing the coordination, making sure that gets done.
Absolutely. Yep. Okay, next one. This is one I have done on every single property is I hold a home warranty on each home and have the client file, oversee, and pay for the claim. They deduct it out of the rent when they send a pic of the paid receipt. Okay, so here's an example of what this looked like. I did it a little differently. I'm gonna give you a real example. 3961 low water main. I had a nice stainless steel Maytag refrigerator. One of the doors open like this and has the freezer pulled out the bottom. And the right side door like started dropping down when it opens up. And what it was is like the bolt that holds the hinge in had stripped, you know? So the tenant called me and I called, I used 210 and I called, I filed it through Kelly, you know, through 210. And they went out there and the appliance repair person, I thought they just drill it out, put a bigger bolt in, you know? And he was like, no, we can't do that. You know, it risks that we can't drill into the frame like that. We're not allowed to. I'm like, why? There's plenty of metal there. Like, what are you worried about? He's like, we're just not allowed to. They cut me a check for like $2,500. What do you think I did?
Just got another one.
I drilled the stinking hole out. Yeah, now here's the deal. Can I file another claim on that refrigerator? No, but that refrigerator's fine. That refrigerator will last a long time. Like we're good, you know? I had another one, AC's gone out numerous times, water heater's gone out numerous times. It's kind of like insurance. For me, it's a $500, $600, $700 insurance policy per year. Now, not everybody does this, you know, and that's fine. I just don't, if I'm carrying 5 or 10 or 15 rentals, I don't want to have 3 AC systems go out in 1 month and me have to stroke a check for 15 grand. I'd rather have a home warranty on the properties, you know what I mean, that renew at different times of the year and just deal with that, you know? Again, up to you. What Gene does is he doesn't like the pesky tenants and he don't want to be in the middle of all the this doesn't work, that doesn't work. So he's like, okay, if something's breaking, here's the phone number. You file the claim, you're paying the deductible, the 50 or 75 or $100 deductible. I won't reimburse you for that until the repair is actually done. So once it's finished, send me the copy receipt, send me that everything's been taken care of, and I'll take it out of your rent. You know, that's what he does. You know, how do most of your people do it, Derek?
We actually tracked that when we first got into this business with our own properties, and we had one client that had 4 properties that already had it existing. For me as a broker that's managing other people's properties too, it became much too difficult, especially trying to coordinate and get the results.
In your shoes,
We
for
can't
sure.
get we can't get the vendors to send us any information because it's done through the warranty.
Yeah.
It wasn't financially feasible for us to do it. After doing it, tracking it for 3 to 5 years, we would have been better off just paying for the repairs ourselves 99% of the
I
time.
just realized something that you didn't necessarily touch on, and that's most management companies make a spread on repairs. They'll handle the repairs, you know, and they'll charge more for those repairs than what because they had to coordinate it.
And we
right?
actually don't do that for
That's
minor
awesome.
repairs,
Yeah.
but when I mean, I've done $50,000-$60,000 renovations on homes that needed it. Yeah, automatically I'm charging 10% or more to oversee something that big.
Yeah. Yeah.
But under $1,000, we just take care of it. Anything over that, yeah, there's an additional fee just like that for
Yeah.
project
It
coordination.
does take time, you know,
Yeah.
so, those are options that Gene gave. He put, so this is something I always did, put a clause in the lease that says you'll allow them to break the lease early if they use you to buy a home. You can't force them to use you, right? But what you can say is I'll let you out of the lease early if you want to buy a home. So play this out. That same property, Low Water Main, this happened 2 or 3 times where the tenants will come to me and say, hey, they'd sign a 2 or 3 year lease and it'd be like 18 months in or 15 months in. It's like, hey, we really want to go buy a home. Can we get out of the lease? I'm like, yeah, as long as you use me, that's what the lease says. Sure, let's go. But if they called me and they're 12 months into a 24-month lease, and they're like, hey, we're using another friend to go buy a property. I'm like, you could do that, but you're on the hook for the rest of the lease or whatever the lease says. You see what I mean? You're not forcing them to use you. They have the option, right? And obviously it would make sense for them to use you.
Giving them an incentive.
Yeah, you're giving them an incentive, you know? So that worked beautifully on multiple properties. Yeah. What am I missing here, Derek? What are some other ways to increase income per property? We hit most of them?
Well, so that same thing,
I stole your pen, didn't give it back. I'm so sorry.
That's fine. I was gonna ask it something
Right.
when I needed to write.
Yeah.
say they need to early terminate, which we do have quite frequently, and a lot of times they're not using us. We just put a pretty hefty early termination clause in there, 60 days notice, and you actually have to pay an early termination fee that generally offsets the fee that the owner's gonna have to pay me to find them a new tenant, plus that little bit of vacancy.
1 month
finding
rent or
vacant
something.
costs. Yeah, somewhere around there.
Plus the month it's
Yeah.
vacant, so 2 or
Yeah.
3 months worth of rent. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, we're getting paid again early because we're putting the property on the market and marketing again. The owner's being made whole, which is more important to them. And this is a good pitch that I have to all my owners. Look, I'm making you whole. It's good that they're moving out because you're getting usually more money on the next month's rent cycle anyway.
True.
They're gonna raise the rent and you're gonna end up
Yeah.
netting more if they move early. And
You got all that?
That's cool.
Smart.
Yeah.
Very smart. Yeah, Marquia.
I would say that 50.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, Marquia has managed hundreds of properties actually, right? She was in the apartment business before getting into real estate, right? So, yeah, and I'm assuming they had pet fees, right?
You got options on that. You can either charge a flat fee, non-refundable, or you can charge pet rent.
Mhm.
Or you can charge a combination, you can charge a deposit. I mean, you can structure that side of things however you want to structure that to generate extra income for both you and for the owner of the property.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, anything else you want to add to that? Other ways to increase income? We hit most of them.
I think that's
Good.
I mean, some people have offered, full, monthly packages that include the renter's insurance, that include this, that, and the other perks and things like that. We don't offer that, but there are other brokers I've seen out there that seem to do pretty good with just an add-on fee that's almost like a resort fee. It's all inclusive for a bunch of different options.
Okay. The worst thing to say is no. Like you can have a package here, pick which one you want, But yeah, they need to get renter's insurance and you just add a little bit of premium to it.
Yeah.
There you go. So it adds up. Think about this. If you have multiple properties, it adds up very, very quickly. Especially if your margin right now is $200-300 a month in cash flow, every $50, $25 per property helps out a lot, So, okay. All right. Another benefit, tax write-offs. We talked about that as well. 10 homes in this price range will give you roughly an $80,000 tax write-off each year. That was what I erased right here, right? What I showed you a second ago. We've already gone through that. Meaning if you earned 80,000, you would pay no money in taxes, okay? Because of depreciation, 27.5-year depreciation. Or if you're still earning above $80,000 per year, which you should be, right? Then you're only paying taxes on whatever's above that. So right now, let's say you made $180,000 last year and you don't own any rental properties. You're paying taxes on $180,000, right? I'm simplifying it, but you get the point. In this example, now you're not paying taxes 180, now your taxable income is $100,000 because you own these multiple rental properties. And there's more strategies. What was the one Brett did? It was like not accelerated depreciation. He called it, you can do it in year one.
Cost segregation.
Cost segregation. Yeah, Andy and Leslie did that. Got like an $80,000 write-off.
One that'll be 28,000.
I know Lordana did one last year as well. So yeah, that's getting a little more advanced, but write down cost segregation. That's something you can look into. And there's company, you have to pay them to do the appraisal or whatever. It's like, how much do you pay? $500,000? Okay, you don't have to say how much it was. I know there's companies that will do them for less than 2,000, but if you're saving, 50, 60, 70, 80 grand, that's a good trade-off, And a lot of times you have to worry about, well, yeah, but then I'm gonna have to repay that. Well, not if you 1031 exchange it and don't intend on selling them for a very long time. There's strategies long-term that you can do where you don't have to worry about it. Okay. Another way to look at it. Oh, we did this already. Okay. All right, ways to build your portfolio and increase your real estate business. What if you had, this is a portion we talked about that you guys can lead today with things you can do. What if every listing that you go in, guys, your question shouldn't be, do I want to list it? Your question should be what in your mind? Should I buy this? Like, does this make sense to buy? You guys know Mark Ellsworth, who you saw walking around a minute ago, so one single family residence, he's here, talk to him. One single family residence and 1031 exchanged it into the single story, like doctor's office and the commercial buildings, the one story and a bunch of different offices in it. Did that over the course of 5 years. He actually created $30,000 a month in passive income. How do you do it? You'll go buy one where the rents were under what they should be. He'd fix it up a little bit. And in commercial, what it's worth is not based on the comps in the neighborhood. It's a multiple of whatever the rental rates are. So now he's gone up, substantially increased the value of the property. So he did a small cash out refi. He took the money he put in that one, along with a little extra cash, went and bought another one, did the same thing, fixed it up, raised the rents, took his cash back out, bought another one, right? And did that, I think 5 or 6 times last time I talked to him, 30 grand plus a month passive income. Be anywhere you want to be in 5 years. 1 year, difficult. 5 years, very doable. Okay. Set the goal. Are you willing to take the action to get there? Everything has a toll booth. Are you willing to pay the price to get there? If you didn't have a lot of extra money last year and you want to buy one rental property a year, you need another 85 grand. How many extra sales is that? Well, if you're a capper, which you would be if you're making easily 100 plus, if you're making over 50, you're a capper, right? So if 60, so what ends up happening? You're talking about another, if the average commission is $15,000 per property, how many properties is that? 6, 7? That's what she did. So how do I sell 6 more properties this year than I did last year? Now you can buy the property. Okay. All right. Or flip the fund for long-term investments, which we're getting to. Okay. All right. So you could have a sign on each of your riders that says, need to sell all, buy your home. Obviously with an asterisk, like has to make sense, Okay. What if you did that? Let's take a look. What if in there it says, we'll list it for 60 days at the price you asked them to? I'm just giving you ideas. So stick with me for a second. 60 days at the price you asked them, not some pie in the sky, but a realistic number, not necessarily a low number either, but a price that really you think that it would sell for in this market. Okay. If it doesn't sell, then we'll buy it at a 5% discount because we can all agree that it was overpriced. Okay. So it's a $300,000 house. Now they're going to sell it to you for $285,000. It gets better though. You have written in there, you're still getting, I'm gonna pretend you're all in this office. Okay. You're still getting whatever your commission is. Okay. We're all the same family, same brokerage. But whatever your commission is, you're getting that. So you put in there, that you're still getting that commission. Make sense so far? Yeah. Okay. So on this $300,000 house, if it was 6%, that'd be $18,000. Make sense? So you got a $15 reduction. You're still getting the $18,000. Okay. All right. I use the commission as part of my down payment. Did you know you can do that? We have to sign a waiver. I signed them numerous times for agents in this office, right? You sign a waiver and you can actually use your commission as down payment. Okay. So now you take and you just save $9,000 to $18,000 of the $60,000 you need, and you got the home at a 5% discount. See how you can get it quicker this way? But you got to run the numbers and say, does this property make sense? If I bought it for that 5% discount, what will my payment be on it? And what do they rent for? If those numbers have a positive spread, then that's your asterisk. Yes, I'll give you this agreement. If it doesn't, then don't do it. Make sense? Did I go too fast on that?
No, that was good.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. So here's what we've covered so far. We determined your life by design. What does that look like? We have to know what we're aiming for. That life that you want to live, what does that look like? We calculated your financial freedom number, right? Whatever that was for you, in this case, $200,000 a year, okay? We then say the number of properties you need to get there. Well, $200,000 times 10% returns 2 million, divided by $300,000 average price point. We need 7 homes. I need 7 homes, okay? So 7 properties. We then say 5-year property acquisition, 5-year payoff. I need to buy at least 1 home a year, and a couple of those I need to buy 2, Okay, then we said tips and advice on now you have the properties, maximizing the most amount of money you can get and cash flow for each of those properties. Okay. What we're going to cover moving forward, and we're going to run out of time in 15 minutes. We'll pick up here, on Friday. The BRRRR method, and I'm depending on how much time we have, we might do some of that today. And long-term hold strategies, so both. Understanding the foreclosure process. Who's been in this business more than 5 years? Who's been in this business more than 10 years? Who's been in this business more than 12 years? Okay, so the people's hands that you see still up right now are the ones that were here in 2010, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and saw what happened, and short sale is not REO. They're different, and a lot of agents think that a property will work for a short sale, and they say it's a short sale, it's not approved, and your buyer will sit there for 3, 4, 5, 6 months waiting for the short sale approval. The bank looks at it and they're like, this person makes 300 grand a year and has no debt. They need to pay their bill, and your buyer's like, what happened? Or a listing agent puts a crazy low price in a property, to save it from foreclosure, and your buyer gets excited thinking they're going to get it for that. And the bank runs their numbers. They're like, no, we're not selling that $500,000 property for 80 grand. You lost your mind, So we're going to go through what that looks like. We're going to talk about courthouse steps properties. How to go buy one at the courthouse steps, the mistakes. And I'm going to show you guys the process, and I'm going to give you homework. We're actually going to work on one of those, okay, and come up with what that would look like. And we'll have groups that'll help each other together. So you're going to lead with action steps. We talked about that. Notice of default, we'll talk about those. Where do you find investment properties? Where are we finding homes right now? How do I fund them? Where do I get the finances for those properties? We're going to cover the 5 biggest mistakes that flippers make when they're flipping homes. And we're going to talk about taking action on your long-term wealth strategy. That's what we're going to cover moving forward. Okay. So let's jump into the BRRRR method. And we're probably going to end up wrapping up after this. So who's familiar with the BRRRR method? Raise your hand. Okay, we got a few, right? And we also have a few that are not. So let me show what that looks like. Okay. And let's see, who has Corey? I think I saw your hand go up. Do you want to tell what it is real quick, and I'll draw it out.
Yeah, I don't know if there's an extra R in there, but buy, renovate, rent, repeat. Repeat.
Refinance. This is refinance. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, so exactly right. So here's what that looks like. Okay. Let's say that you bought a home for, I'm trying to think of an example of the agent I had, a couple agents I've helped here lately. I think Tara, the one she was looking at was like, we're gonna get it for like 240, something like 220. I think it was 220. Okay. So let's say it was a $220,000 purchase price. Okay, guys follow me so far? Now, and let's say that the remodel was gonna run 30 grand. It didn't need anything substantial, paint, carpet, some light fixtures, some hinges and knobs, some faucets, nothing really big, enough to get it looking good. Okay. So remodel. Okay. So how much do we total have in it right now? Okay. Now the ARV, so this is all in, like how much money do we have in it? 250. The ARV, what does ARV stand for?
After repair value.
Okay, it was 320,000, if I remember correctly, somewhere right around there, right? So what's the equity position that we have in there? 70, right? Okay, that's what this looks like. You guys follow that so far? Okay, now if you were going to do the BRRRR method, so this would be you buy for 220. Okay, you remodel for 30,000. You guys follow it so far? Okay. Now, what I missed was you rent it out, or you put a tenant in there. Then you do a refinance. a cash out refi, okay? Remember when you're buying investment property, what's the minimum percent that you guys put down? 20 to 25%, right? So what's that called is LTV. What does LTV stand for? Loan to value, right? Your loan is 80% of the value of the property, okay? What is 80% of 320,000? LTV, what is that? 320,000 times 0.8. How much money will they loan you on this property? How much? 256, I heard? Is that right? Somebody do 320,000 times 0.8. Okay, so refi, so cash out refi, $256,000. Okay, hang on a second. How much do I have in the property? And I just got what? So what just happened? I just got paid, right? I now have $0 in this property, my own money, and I got paid to own this property. Now, here's the thing that you have to be able to do. If you finance $256,000, right? Will that be enough to cash flow? You know, if you wanted to keep this property, right? Does it still cash flow at 256? As long as it does, this makes sense. Here's the challenges you're going to run into. There's something called, write down this word, title seasoning. Okay. If you go to Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo, you name the big bank, and you say, hey, I've owned this property for 3 months. You know, I put a tenant in it. It's in perfect shape. This is what it's renting for. It's worth $320,000. I want to do a cash out refi for 80% of that. Can you guys do it for me? I say, hey, credit looks great. You know, yeah, the property looks great too, but you've owned it for less than a year. The title hasn't seasoned for a year. So we're not going to go off what it's worth. We're going to go off what you have in it. So we'll give you 80% of 250. We're going to give you, what is that? 200 grand, you know? Like, oh, no. I don't want to keep, you know, money tied in there. I want to keep 50 grand. I want 80% of what it's worth. Why do you care what I have in it? Why don't you care about what it's worth? Sorry, that's our rules. Okay. So how do you get around this? Community bank, local community banks. I personally used Providence Bank up on the corner of Windward Parkway and Highway 9. The guy that used to run the place was Andy Jordan, but he just retired. I haven't been up there in probably a year or two, but I know they'll do it. And what they'll do is they'll loan based on what it's worth, not what you have in it. They won't do title seasoning. Why? What do lenders call a loan that they keep in-house? Portfolio, called portfolio loan. So these community banks have portfolio loans where they're keeping the loan. They're not selling it back to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, or whoever else, but they'll still give you a very similar interest rate, if not even sometimes better. So go talk. Now, what do they require? You have to open a checking account with them, right? But they didn't even require you to put much money in there. It's like put a couple $100 in there with a checking account, and you know you're good. I'm like, okay, let's do that. You know, and not only that, I'm getting ahead of myself, but it actually helped when I was spread too thin. Like I had 3 or 4 or 5 flips going at once. I'll be like, hey, I have another property, but I don't have enough funds for it. They would actually lend me money. So they actually would do some funding too. When you build a relationship with a community bank, they can do some pretty creative stuff because they're in complete control of what happens with their money. The bigger banks, a lot of red tape because they have to follow all the guidelines of Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Ginnie Mae, and all that, right? You just follow that. So you want to avoid title seasoning. That makes sense? Okay. Where could you get in trouble in this? What if you don't get that number right? Now your money's tied up, right? What if you didn't get approved to do cash out refi? Now you're stuck with the property. See what I mean? So we're gonna go through that. So does that make sense so far? The BRRRR method? Yeah. So it's buy, remodel, rent, refinance, and then repeat. So if we do this the right way, what could we end up with? We could end up with 5 properties that you have $0 in. Do you see what I mean? Like you literally don't have to come up with that 85 grand for a property anymore, Corey, right? You just go find a good deal on one of these and do this 5 times. Now you didn't need to sell an extra 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 properties a year. You just did this. Does that make sense? And decided to keep the properties long term. Here's the hard part. Where are you going to find properties for 220 that are worth 320 afterwards? That's the challenge. And that's what we're going to cover in detail, a little bit more tomorrow when we dig into where to find these properties. You guys follow that so far? Okay. All right. So that's the BRRRR method. Buy, remodel, rent, refinance, and repeat. Okay, that's what that looks like. Okay, all right, write this down. Listen to this every day for the next year, okay?
These guys are awesome.
Oh, they're phenomenal, right? They're who else has heard of Bigger Pockets? Raise your hand if you've heard of them. Good. So about half the room has, right? They interview a different person every single week. I mean, like, look at these. It's like,
500 podcasts.
it's like from zero, it's crazy. It's like from 0 to 400 units in 3 years, going from, a school teacher to, $1 million a year in passive income. How'd you do it? And they just grill these, it's like mega camp or family reunion where they're putting people on stage and asking them questions, and yet they go even more granular. It's really cool. So this is your mobile classroom, you're driving around anyway, get this podcast. That's actually what got me into podcasts a number of years ago was this, and now I listen to podcasts, a lot of them. But get this, Bigger Pockets Real Estate Podcast. Yeah, great podcast.
Man, those guys have changed over time.
Haven't they? Yeah, not even the same people anymore.
They were like kids at first.
Scott, what was his name? J Scott or something. I got a couple other books too.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So Marquia, now we're here. We're here now. Flip to fund your long-term properties. Flip to fund your long-term properties. 5 biggest mistakes that flippers make. Can we do this in 6 minutes?
Man.
Yeah, all right. So let's go through it. All right, the first and how to avoid them. So the first one is inaccurate ARV. They are not calculating this number right, okay? And if you don't do that right, you will get burned. You will end up owing money on this property. Like I'll show you how to run numbers. And somebody will tell me, I just picked up that property for, $240. I'm like, what's it gonna sell for? They're like, $310. I'm like, congratulations, you just lost money. You know what I mean? Like you've got to run the right ARV. And how do you do that? You have to a lot of people underestimate expenses. So you have to know what is it gonna sell for, be accurate about it, and then underestimating the expenses. We don't need level 5 granite in these properties. Think about it like this. You're not moving into this property. This isn't the home you're gonna be living in. You need it to look a little bit better than everything else on the market, right? And I'm not saying putting lipstick on a pig. Like I bought a property, 735 Bethany Green Trace, you can look it up. Bought it for like 4 something, sold it for 7 something. It's in Milton. Good property. There was a little bit of a sinkhole in the backyard. And David Chatham actually built this house. I'm kind of throwing him under the bus. I talk to him all the time. I never told him this. I need to tell him this.
You should.
But here's what happened. I started digging up. I was like, I didn't want to just throw dirt over it and call it a day. I want to do it right. So I started digging, and we found some stuff. And the guys called me. They're like, hey, you need to come look at this. I mean, 22 40-yard containers later. Do you know what a 40-yard container is? Like that's those big, dumpsters that you have that they roll off containers. 22 of them later, we got everything out. This was like the neighborhood dump pile. And that years ago, they were allowed to do this. So he didn't do anything wrong. Like David didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, they could do it. For
Metro Atlanta.
We found, I think neighbors were using it because there were like tires, washing machines, like all kinds of stuff in the yard. And this lot, these are big, nice homes. They sell for over $1 million now, right? Well over $1 million. They were on like 3/4 acre lots. So like we dug up almost the entire backyard. It was ridiculous. What else was back there? Septic tank, because it was a large lot. So we also had to replace the septic tank. Like that one, I still ended up making a little money on it, but that one hurt, So underestimating expenses, okay? Underestimating expenses. And we'll talk about how to avoid underestimating expenses. No scope of work. They don't have the right scope of work. We've got to outline with this contractor, like, oh, you didn't tell me about doing that. I'm like, well, I didn't tell you to install doorknobs. I told you to take them off. Like that wasn't included in the price you gave me, Like you have to get a scope of work with everything on there. And what I would do with underestimating expenses is have contractors walk through the house with you, record, and I would tell them, hey, I'm gonna record this, I'm gonna go back and make notes, and I'm gonna send you everything I want. That way you get an accurate, quote. Are you okay with that? And I have that on the recording. They say, yeah, sure. So I record it. And then that way, when we're going through, if I'm getting quotes from 2 or 3 people and they're looking at the house, I know exactly what it's going to cost me, And if you do 2 or 3 different quotes, somebody will tell you something you didn't think of. Like, ooh, I didn't talk about that with that other guy. That's a good point. I didn't notice that the footing wasn't right on that either. And I'm going to get dinged on inspection, So walk through with them. And then no scope of work. Now I take that recording. You could probably use AI to transcribe it now, and it just transcribe it for you. And then you break it out. It'd be like, I broke it out per room, kitchen, remove all kitchen cabinets, Move the faucet from, under the window to the island. I'm just making stuff up, but it had everything. Install six recess lighting, it had everything in there. I typed it all out per room, what they would do. And it was great to have the recording, because then the contractor would be like, oh, we didn't talk about that. I'm like, that's so funny, this sounds like you. Does this sound like you? Is this you? Crazy. So no scope of work. So make sure you have a scope of work. The next one is wrong upgrades. Like I said, we don't need the highest end hardwood. We don't need the highest end carpet. A rental, you would put different stuff in than you would a flip. A rental, you want durability. You want durability, you want it to last, okay? With a flip, it's a different thing. You want it to be pretty. So you might do granite in a flip. You may not do granite. You may do Formica in a rental property. Make sense?
Yeah.
So if you're flipping the property, great. Put in new light fixtures and doorknobs. Write this down. Discount homefurnishings.com. Discount home furnishings with an S.com. I save so much money on so many properties with, faucets, light fixtures, doorknobs, hinges.
Or the brand furnished.
New, it's all new. And those faucets are actually my own current house, and I've had them there for 13 years, 2013, 10 years, and they're still working fine. So, all right, not bulletproofing the transaction. We can spend a lot of time on this, and I'll give you a couple of quick tips on bulletproofing the transaction. Here's one of them. I had properties where people were lining up to pay more than list price for the home. And then what happened that would kill the deal? Appraisal kills the deal. And I got so upset about it, because I'm like, look, I got 5 other people ready to pay, this price for the home to sign up for the mortgage. Like, why is it not appraising? And there is a way to prevent this. And here's what I ended up doing. Every property that I had, I would get a pre-listing appraisal. Okay, pre-listing appraisal. And what I want you to do is I want you to think of the most optimistic, what is the deal you've done over the past couple of years? And you're like, there's no way this thing isn't appraised. And then do it. Find that appraiser. Okay, follow that appraiser. And seriously, yeah, seriously, call them. And then what you do is and pay attention really, really close right here. Take the list of all the upgrades you've done. Kitchen cabinets, bathroom cabinets, hardwood floors, light fixtures, doorknobs, hinges, paint, carpet, hardwood, like list all of that out, put the retail price next to it, okay? And I put at the top, like here are all the recent upgrades that were just done on this property. The prices you see below are the retail prices that most individual would pay if they did on the open market. Yes, I get a discount because I do volume with these contractors. However, these are real prices, right? Then I get a list, right, on what was done, okay? So they have all the stuff that was done to the property. I then come up with a couple comps that I think are reasonable, good comps, and I write on there whether I think mine's nicer or not as nice based on that stuff. I then call that optimistic appraiser before I list it. I say, hey, I need a pre-listing appraisal. Did you guys know that Bank of America, Wells Fargo, they use companies called RELs and a couple other, they're appraisal management companies. So if an appraiser goes to a property, maybe the appraisal is, what's an appraisal right now? $500, $550-ish, they get maybe half or less of that, right? When they go to these big companies. So in order for them to make a living, they have to bang out 2 or 3 appraisals a day to make the, so they're not going to sit there for 4 hours when you're under contract to try to make your numbers work. They're going to bang it out real quick, say, all right, sorry, I didn't appraise. No, I'm not going to change it, right? So how do you prevent this? You call this optimistic appraiser. You give them all the repairs that were just done in the home. You give them a couple comps. They're getting the full $500. Now they have to follow the same stinking guidelines, but they're actually going to take their time with it.
And you done half your work for them because you've just given them all that information.
That's the point. When you go under contract and that buyer has the home under contract and they're going to come do appraisal, I change the showing instructions to appointment only, and I remove the part that says there's a lockbox on it. So the person looking at this, yes, they have to call me. Right. So now the appraisal calls me and then they're like, hey, I need to go buy this home to do the appraisal. I'm like, great. Yeah, happy to. Here's how you get in the home. And I had a pre-listing appraisal done on it. I know you can't necessarily use that appraisal. However, we're allowed to provide data. May I send that to you? And you're allowed to provide that. They're like, yeah, sure. In their mind, like, just what Derek said, they're like, she just did my homework for me. Thank you. You know, I mean, I even need to go by. Yes, they're still gonna go by and take pictures.
They're just gonna go to verify that now instead of go piece it together.
Yes.
As Scott Murphy said, if there's a price, or if they don't take that from you, they're an idiot, because
Yes.
that is giving them their work.
Yes.
Most of them are even taught, like, take whatever you can get.
And remember, this was that optimistic appraiser who,
Yes.
who did a good job for you, you know, that you know is gonna be on the high end of what you can really expect. So now that appraiser walks in and they're like, yeah, that makes sense, sure, thank you, you know, and they leave. Okay, here's the other way you can use this. When you're getting counter offers from other agents and they're like, I just don't see the value. It's one thing to say, well, I put all this money in this home and I feel like it's worth it. It's another thing to say, hey, here's a certified residential appraisal thing. It's worth more than what you're offering on it, you know, or at least what you're offering on it. That's a pretty strong argument for them to go back to their buyer. It'll help them. It'll help these weak agents who may not be able to help their buyers see the value, be able to go back and say, hey, they gave me an appraisal. It was just done. Here's what they said it's worth. Then their buyers are like, okay, yeah, all right, I get it. See what I mean? So that would be one way to bulletproof it. Here's another one. In the scope of work, I forgot to give you this. This is so important. In the scope of work, man, write this down. Make sure you're listening. This was so frustrating where every single day that we have these properties that's sitting on the market, it costs us money, right? That before it gets repaired, before we put up for sale. Like you're paying insurance, prorated HOAs, utilities, you know, prorated taxes. It literally costs you money every single day. I'd show up at these properties and I'd be like, hey, where you got that? And they're like, oh yeah, we had this emergency pop up around town. You know, we'll be back tomorrow. I'm like, okay, great. I come back tomorrow, I'm like, hey guys, what's going on? Where you at? They're like, oh, the job ran a little longer. I promise we'll be there the next day. I'm like, no more. I'm not doing this anymore, right? So in the scope of work, I put in there, I said, hey, all right, so here's everything that needs to be done. What's the date you can have it completed by? And they say, oh, we can have it done in 30 days. I'm like, okay, today is August the 9th. So you're gonna have it done September the 9th, right? They're like, yes. I'm like, okay, every day that you don't have it done, it costs me money. So I'm putting here, every day that you don't have it done, it's a $500 penalty on what I'm paying you. Are you still sure you can get it done by the 9th? A lot of times they'll be like, whoa, hang on, you know, then maybe give an extra week. I'm like, okay, so by the 16th of September, you'll have this home done, right? They're like, yes. I'm like, okay, great. Okay. So then I write in there what is, and they sign the document. Okay. Now I know what's on the hook and they're going to make sure they get it done in time. Here's the other thing. If you end up getting into the middle of the remodel and you end up deciding like, oh, we really need to change this. And that happens. Like you're in the middle of the remodel, like, it doesn't quite look right. Let's change this. If you have a real estate contract and you need to change it right now, what do you use? Same exact stinking thing here. Do an amendment, says all parties agree that we're expanding the back deck, you know, 3 extra feet, or we're pouring a bigger, you know, cement, you know, patio underneath the deck, or whatever it is, right? And you ask the contractor how many extra days is it going to take to do that. So you do an amendment, saying what you're going to do and extending the timeline, everybody signs. Same thing. Derek.
Do you have past or current contract templates for vendors that you can share?
I was asked that the other day, and I think I do have one. Let me see if I can get it by the next class.
Everybody knows real estate contracts.
You have one,
Everybody
Marquia?
knows that.
Walmart has a really good one. They have contractor agreements, general contractor, the subcontractor.
Can you send it to me and then I can put it in this? That way, when I send it out, everybody gets it. You know, same thing with you were going to share a screenshot of something.
For the bank.
The banks, send that to me too, Marquia, and I'll put it in these slides. That way, when you guys get a copy of them Friday, you'll have them. Okay, last thing, and then we're going to close out. Bonus. I wish I would have kept more of those long-term holds. I mean, oh my goodness. I bought one. Do you guys know Town Lake Parkway? You know, it's like a miniature, you know, it's a nice area, right? It's like a smaller version of Roswell or Alpharetta. There's a neighborhood called Deer Run, and I bought a house that's on the corner, on the left side of Deer Run, the nicer side of Deer Run, and it's right across from the pool. And it's a 3-story house, finished basement, it's like 6 or 7 bedrooms, 5 or 6 bathrooms. I bought it for $140,000.
What's it worth today?
I don't even want to know what it's worth today.
$1,333,000.
There you go, 735. Yeah, that was the property that I turned, $1,333,000. You know, I bought that for 4 and some change, you know? I can give you so many more examples like that. You know, but it's so hard, because it's like, man, I could make 50 or 100 grand right now. I'm just gonna do that, you know? It's like, I could have made hundreds of thousands of dollars more if I would have kept them. It's not getting more. All right, so guys, we're gonna stop here, okay? Because after time, all right? Yeah, after 3 o'clock, we're gonna pick up here on Friday. What time will we come back on Friday?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. Was this helpful?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'll see you guys on Friday. All right, thank you.
I had this 4 years ago.